I feel like if this was just happening today, I'd be real. I would be real. Yeah, I don't. Well, you know, music's good. Music's amazing. Music's amazing. Definitely. This is all this stuff I really don't like the day. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel bad. But it's not good. It's, yeah. It's everybody. Um, um, but yeah, and I'm trying to figure out kind of like what I'm trying to get all the programming that I want to figured out for the next piece of stuff. So I have to monitor the forest places, or see what's happening, so great for everything. Oh, it's a little bit of a, I think it's tough to do. Um, but I feel like there is, it's a lot of distraction, um, kind of mind-blowing bullshit that has come through there. I see, you do this stuff, I see, I'm usually distracted. Hello, oh, sorry, you. Sorry, sorry. I'm gonna be doing an after rose with well, I don't know. Ability, roughly, roughly, roughly. Someone just talk to you, don't take a high. What? You think at the courthouse? Oh, please, God. Please, God. Hi, Rick. How are you? Please. Oh, it sounds kind of nutty. Oh, okay. Interesting to go. Yeah, it's just my headset, actually. Not really, yeah,
Do you want to know what I think it is? Here's what I think. I think, is this better? I think it's me. I think it's operator error. Oh, good. For a pop, then gone. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, it's just operator error. Good. Well, sometimes less is more. That's what it says. No, I think it's because I don't know how to adjust the settings of whatever headset or microphone I have. I think it's me. I think it's not the equipment, it's me. When I learn how to do it, it will probably work better. Good. Excellent. Jen, how are you? On a clear day, looking, wait, stand and look around you, and you see. Oh, I don't remember that song. Hey, what's going on, sir? What's going on? Why are you? Oh, I see what that is. Okay, never mind. Sorry. So, and again, programming note. Program Dempsey 2. Hello, Joe Dempsey. How are you? I was thinking about you the other day, Joe. I was wondering, where's Joe? And I know you're like breaking and stuff like that and working on stuff offline, but I was like, where's Joe? We need some Joe up in here. New furnace is working great. Ooh, you got a train. Tonight, high winds and -25. I'll be warm. Oh, easily. That's so great. That's great news. Congratulations. Well deserved. In fact, imperative. So glad you were able to do that. My butterflies. Oh. Hey, Scott, I'm here on time. Babes. Bebs. Bubs. Have bubs. Is it somebody? No, it's definitely McAfee. It's not McAfee. That's fine. You've been studying? Oh God, I could use a day or two of that. Or a year or two of that. I went for a walk in the snow, got my steps from probably sometime. I went for a walk in the snow, and it's -25. I got a new furnace now, and I've been studying how to walk in the snow. How does this Fitbit work? You read Navarro and prosecutor sentencing briefs. Where are those? Did I miss those, or do I have them and I just ignored them? I probably did. Or maybe I did read them and I didn't do anything about them. Yesterday was beautiful with a high of 15. Oh, it's nice when it's like calm. I do hear a lot of people talking about spring, and I'm like, I don't want to burst your bubble, but it is January, whatever, 19th. So that's what I'm saying. He wants an award. Oh, come on. Like, what kind of award? Extra pudding in his cell? I can't. The sideshow Bobs are entirely too much. I need Boris Epstein. I need Boris. I don't care about Smeagol. I don't care about, well, I kind of care about Ziegler. Well, they want a month for each count and a relatively steep fine. Well, he's an unindicted co-conspirator, so I don't really care what happens to him when it comes to this particular contempt thing. because he's scared anyway. So, yeah, I think they're asking for 6 months or something. Oh no, you said if they want a month for each count and a relatively steep line. Yeah, I want him. I want to hear. Let's get to the unindicted co-conspirator part. That's what I want to hear. I don't care. I don't care about this fucking contempt of Congress bullshit. I don't care. I want the deal. Is this not happening? Am I going to be really sad if I find out this isn't happening? Hold on. Fulton. That's not it. So it is not that. Is it that? No. Hold on to your love. Hold on to your love. Here we go. Okay. So, what's your schedule? Why can't you guys... Org. Matey. Org matey. Okay. Fine. Hold on to your love. Got to hold on. And don't let go. It's not the county magistrate. You're really very wrong. You're very wrong. You're very wrong. You are very wrong. I don't see anything on the calendar. Hmm? Oh, select calendar. Oh, no. But he said last Friday that it'd be this Friday. Dag nabbit, there's nothing on their calendar. This is dumb. There's nothing on your calendar, you stupid asses. You stupid you dirty bird. He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. This is my favorite. Don't know how to guess. Wait, here we go. Prosecution asking for 2. Haven't yet seen a judge approach Max or what's asked. Well, I know. I mean, again, whatever. I mean, did anyone answer you about why Eastman is there? I bet you Eastman is pleading. I don't know why he's there. I know. It's true. Oh, 2:30? Oops. Okay, listen. I thought it was fucking 10:30. Okay, I'm like done. Okay, well, that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to fucking waste time until that. Supreme Court listening next week to Trump immunity claim. Really? What date is that, Easily? Is that Tuesday? I know. I thought it wasn't until February. Yeah, I want to get this straight. You know what? We should kind of like figure out where everything is. Yeah, musical theater beforehand. Get ready, because this morning it's Sondheim. God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it. I guess he didn't write that. Oh. Oh, well, let's do this. Hold on, everybody. Hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on. Whoa. I just went to your Twitter. That's quite an icicle. Estates. I gotta laugh at that. Oh my god. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Well, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. All right. Okay. Well, we don't have everything we need because they're not gonna start. So we're gonna look at this. Link. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on with everybody, but everybody needs to calm the frick down. Because don't make mama angry. You're not gonna like it. Don't make mama mad. Okay. Here we go. Wait, let me check in with you guys and see. Yeah. We're lost. We're totally lost. I don't get it. What do you mean you don't get it? What? What's the matter? What? Okay. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Wait, I gotta make it bigger. The big print version. Give me the big print version of this. Here is Peter Navarro and his sentencing memorandum. Let's see. I think you probably have the. Well, I guess you don't have the link. Okay, then we'll just read your commentary, then, won't we, darling? Hold on. I gotta pull up my fucking chat. Pull up the fucking chat. Pull up the fucking chat. Sorry, I'm in a mood. It's not a great mood. But it's not a bad mood. Okay. Link to Pete's comes later through though prosecutions is an answer to it. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, right. Okay. So wait, this is the prosecution memo? Oh yeah, United States Sentencing Memorandum. Okay. Wait, let me just see. Oh, whoops. What is going on? Oh, I know what's going on. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Okay, wait. So let me get my bearings. Oh, but it looks like a picture. Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, that's fine. Wait. Should I go through it like it's okay, wait. Oh my god. Oh, is this? This is his, right? Navarro has a contrasting memo. Okay. All right. Oh, you don't know how fun it's going to be. We'll try and make our way through it. We've got time. All right, let's do this. Let's do this, bitch. Okay. Thank you to for providing all of the material for this morning's broadcast. We truly appreciate your support. Okay, here we go. Wait, first we need some weed. Everybody, handle your weed. It's a wonderful gray day here in Los Angeles, here in Hollywood. Not a place for the small of dick. Oh no, can I read them? Oh, I'm sorry. Prosecution memo is less painful. Well, let's read let's read his and we'll just make our way through it. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. But first we die. Okay. Just kidding. Okay. I'll try not to read it with tears in my voice. Read what you like. Thank you. Don't tell me what to do. Sorry. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, we're good. Okay, well, apparently we're just going to take a minute. The boys are looking at me like, you okay there? You all right there? You all right there, Chiquita Banana? All right. Okay, here we go. Apparently not. Defendant Dr. Peter K. Navarro's memorandum in aid of sentencing. And I love this kind of poem formatting that he's done for Mehta's ruling, the quote. I just think that's actually great. He makes it like a poem and not like, Don't like justify it or whatever. Okay. And whether the government thinks the president invoked executive privilege or not here, Dr. Navarro thought he invoked. I don't know that anybody would really dispute that Dr. Navarro thought he was supposed to invoke. Wow, is that the lead off? Oh, Peter, you're gonna die up there. Oh, okay. No one statement better encapsulates the very challenge that this court faces in sentencing defendant Peter Navarro, or Smeagol, one of former President Trump's longest-serving advisors and one of several advisors from the Trump administration, to refuse to comply with subpoenas issued by the U.S. House Select Committee to investigate the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Well, isn't that funny? Because other people also refuse subpoenas, but apparently they should be arrested on the spot. How should the court sentence a scene? How do we solve a problem like Navarro? How do you take a clown and pin him down? Sorry. Okay. All right. Wait, what now? No one statement. Okay. How should the court sentence a senior advisor who was convicted for acting in a way that comported with the behaviors of several presidential advisors from presidential administrations throughout history? Why, I mean, look at all the Watergate people. How should the court sentence someone whose defense was hamstrung by antiquated precedent and the court's finding on an open question? Above the law is how the government describes Dr. Smeagol, but in doing so, the prosecution ignores the fact that with novel issues of first impression, like minds might disagree. Smeagol's trial and conviction involves a series of firsts. The first time an incumbent president waived the executive privilege of a former president. The first time a senior presidential advisor was charged with contempt of Congress by the Justice Department, let alone the Justice Department of a political rival. The first time a district court held an evidentiary hearing on whether a former president had properly invoked executive privilege. And the first time a senior presidential advisor was convicted, and now is to be sentenced for following what that advisor reasonably believed was an instruction by the former president not to comply with the Select Committee's subpoenas. I thought that's what he said. One thing that was not a first for this case, however, is the court's astute observation that Smeagol found himself in an untenable position. Compare Tobin to U.S. Although this question is not before the court, it does feel that if contempt is indeed the only existing method, Congress should consider creating a method of allowing these issues to be settled by declaratory judgment. Even though it may be constitutional to put a man to guessing how a court will rule on difficult questions like those raised in good faith in this suit, what is constitutional is not necessarily most desirable, especially where the contest is between different government units. The representative of one unit in conflict with another should not have to risk jail to vindicate his constituency's rights. I'm quoting that other one. The court. Shouldn't we at least demand more of Congress before we subject somebody to contempt after they've invoked a presidential communications immunity or privilege? So if Congress itself makes a determination that privilege does not apply without resorting to a federal court to confirm that determination, a former senior advisor who was following the instruction of the former president is automatically subject to or potentially subject to criminal contempt. Is that right? I mean, that's where we find ourselves. So clearly, that's what the Department of Justice thinks. Yes. The subpoena which initiated this prosecution arose following the events of January 6, but contrary to the government's misleading opening statement. Throughout our history, one president has handed over the reins to his successor from George Washington to John Adams, but about 2 years ago, a little toolbox of that cherished his it. His trial was not about January 6, and his sentence should not reflect any relationship with the events of that day. J31C. Having fun with DOA? Get out. Get out of here. Get out. You've spent time with people that are pink MAGA and want to see me silence. I don't know if you know it, but you need to open your ears because I've talked about it plenty. And then the other night I see you in a space with them and you're talking about convoy stuff. So goodbye. Just leave on your own. I'm not dealing with it. Get the fuck out. And DOA is a fucking dick. I don't know what the fuck you're doing with that motherfucker, but whatever. Not my problem. Jesus Christ. Simp somewhere else. Please. Okay, where was I? Let's see. Oh, wait, am I not sharing the document? Oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry. Hold on. I thought I was reading that document to you. Share this tab instead. No. She's another fake. So, you know what? Take your weird simping, which I don't need. And if you're hanging out with pink MAGA, you've got a big problem on your hands. So figure it the fuck out and get the fuck out of my life. What a joke. What a joke. What a fucking joke. Here, I'm going to help you out. Because I think you're an idiot. How about that? Go fuck yourself. You're just as bad as all of them, by the way. So there. Jesus Christ. So done. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell you that, because I'm really happy I got that. Hi, Paul. How are you? Oh my God. These morons. Give me a fucking break. All right. Otherwise, let's see. Yes, the subpoena which initiated this prosecution arose from January 6th. Okay, wait. Oh, whoops. Where did I start? I think history is replete. Maybe not. Oh, yeah. History is replete those to have refused to comply with congressional subpoenas, and Dr. Navarro's sentence should not be disproportionate from those similarly situated individuals. Moreover, and considering the numerous novel issues and open questions with which this court was confronted, Dr. Navarro should be granted release pending appeal while he seeks appellate review. Oh, that is a broken sentence. Thank you. I thought maybe I was wrong. I thought maybe I read it incorrectly. Oh, you just missed a moron. Yeah. I think it is replete with, yes. Let's see, replete with those who have refused, right? Not those two. Okay, maybe it is. All right. Moreover, and considering the numerous novel issues and open questions with which this court was confronted, Smeagol should be granted release pending appeal while he seeks appellate review. Oh, in the part you read before quitting. It makes perfect sense. We'll kind of skip through it. Smeagol's sentencing should reflect the tenor of the law giving rise to his conviction. When the base level offense is properly calculated, the offense level begins at 4 and is lowered by 2 mitigating circumstances to arrive at a net score of 0. In related cases with a net score of 0, probation is the norm. Further still, this court has recognized that Smeagol thought he had been instructed by a former president to invoke executive privilege rather than appear for testimony. Accordingly, Dr. Navarro, or Smeagol, as I like to call him, respectfully requests the court to sentence him not more than 6 months of probation, to run concurrently, and to pay $100. Oh, man, this is good. Okay, well, we're not going to go through all of his crap. I understand now why you stopped. Oh, good, Paul. I'm so glad you got the water running. Oh, Jesus. I am so sorry that happened to you. I really hope this cold snap ends quickly. It's a little milder here in California today, but it's still overcast. And I think we're getting a big storm this weekend. So I have a feeling that we're in for some good rain, which actually will be nice. I like rainy days a lot. All right. Smeagol, yeah, trade. Can you believe that he was a trade expert I don't really believe that. I don't really believe that. I want to find his 30-page, 36-page report. I know I had it. Hold on. I know I had that goddamn thing. In fact, I was looking for it, wasn't I? Shit. Where is that 36-page report? Downloads. Navarro, he is the one that is coming through. Navarro. What's that? No, that's not. Got so many tweets on him, but I don't have. Oh, shit. I really thought I had that 36-page report. Did I not? I'm so mad. I'm going to look for it. Hold, please. We are now processing. Yeah. What was the report called? Alleged Trump praises the Epic Times. I think this is where I found it. Hold on. The Epic Times, I mean, I will say this. Hopefully they haven't gotten as far as they could because they have a gateway, a pay gate. Afternoon toke time. Yeah, storm coming. I love it. I know. I actually am looking forward to this storm. What's it called? Report on alleged election. I don't think that's what it was called. Election irregularities. Irregularities. Whiskey River, take my mind. Don't let a memory conquer me. Whiskey River, don't run dry. You're all I got, take care. Whiskey River, take my mind. Don't let a memory torture me. Whiskey River, close my eyes. Oh God. Oh, the story of the alts. The story of the alts. Whiskey River, don't run dry. Your memory calling me. Ready by 4:30 Central Time. Started at 12. Wow. Slow cooked beef roast today. That sounds good. When someone else makes that, it makes it, I love it. I really love it. Yes. Really. Grab a juice box on your way out. Whiskey River, change my mind. Don't let a memory torture me. French dip. Oh, I love a good French dip. Ooh, I did get a little bit of a weed supply yesterday. I was very happy about it. Very happy. Very happy. Sounds good. It's good to be the king. I start it, hubby finishes it. Of course, I have the dishes. Paul, You know what? We make choices and we're grown-ups. And guess what? Nobody gets to tell us what to do. I want you to be safe and I want you to be healthy and happy. And I'm sure you want the same for me, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not that girl. But I am so supportive and I think we're a good place to be when you are struggling. Oh, French dip. French dip is see, this is another thing. I think that we have come to the point in evolution where we should be able to make exact replicas of meat and bacon. Okay? Exact replicas. I don't mean just like, you know, tempeh. I mean legitimate dupes. And that's, you know what? You want to be mad at something? Be mad about that. Orders DoorDash. I'm having an English muffin with some peanut butter on it, actually. So there's that. Oh man, Whiskey River. Oh my. I saw a political cartoon with Fonnie Willis holding up a sign saying, "I'm not the one on trial." This is amazing. Oh my god, that's amazing. The tubes are I'm doing, yes, they are getting good. I hope they get better. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I want some real bacon. Well, it's it's just hard to build up all those little isolated muscles without the animal body attached. Well, could we make a fake like oh, wait a minute. This to me is an excellent use for the robot skeletons. Hear me out. Hear me out. I'd settle for a couple of Piaget. Oh, Rick, that sounds so good. I'm going to tell you right now, this English muffin with peanut butter is particularly delicious. So I feel that. I feel that. And no peanut butter. Well, no animals. Well, actually, that's not true. Probably there's some dairy in there. I know. Stop. I get it. God damn. It's a rough crowd. Bobby Flay. Bobby Flay's an idiot. That's the only problem is I don't like Bobby Flay. I think didn't he get in trouble? Helpful. And it's a foot massager. It's kind of crazy. Really, technology's insane. Sanka. Have some Sanka. Get out the lemon bars. I don't think we're having any lemon bars today. There's a few really amazing vegan restaurants. You know, I will say that Pepper, when I'm served vegan food, I will eat it like a motherfucker and I will act like it's the best food I've ever had in my entire world. And so I would like to I would eat if someone made me vegan food every day, I'd eat it. I'd eat it. Like how at the restaurant at the end of the universe, but also Commander Data. It's like Commander Data, fully equipped. Ow. I didn't think of that. You did. Play makes me feel like I'm bothering him. Well, you are. What is happening? Yeah, Ovaltine and Weetabix. Oh, are those digestive cookies? I'm going to tell you, digestive cookies save your life sometimes. I'd like to have that quality available retail. Yes. Right? Yeah. Don't look him in the eye. I think he's like an abusive motherfucker, is what I think I've heard, actually. I don't have I don't either. I don't. But I would, if, well, I should probably just give up meat, regardless of the fact if there's a good substitute. I don't eat meat that often, though. I really don't. I don't eat meat or chicken. I don't eat, well, I don't know what I eat. I eat a lot of Cheetos and like the white kind, not the orange kind. I don't really like the orange kind. I eat a lot of those, and I eat a lot of salad, and I eat rice and beans a fair amount. I eat burritos. I guess I get most of my, I'm trying to think of what's in my fridge. I don't know. I don't have the vegan chef skills to pull it off. Yeah, I don't either. Okay, let me just double check on Scotty McAfee. See if he's decided he wants to work today. I'm just kidding. The only time you eat red meat is French dip. That's really good. And I have like a steak, maybe 2 steaks a year, maybe bacon 3 times a year, 4 times. So I actually don't encounter it that much. And my daughter doesn't really eat it, so I don't, none of us make it. Neither of us make it for dinners or shit. I like oatmeal too. I like smoothies. I eat what I can. There you go. Okay, all right. Okay, Mr. Easy. Okay, Mr. Easygoing. I only like chicken when it's grilled, so summers when I have chicken, I can't eat barbecue sauce either. Good steak means nothing. Yeah, I agree with that. Salt, pepper. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get back here and do my work here for you. I'm doing it for you, baby. Okay, wait, what is this? Let me see. McCarthy pulls his 5 members. Okay, so that's all about complaining about the committee structure. And let's see. Wait a minute. Here we go. On February 9th, 2022, Dr. Navarro, a.k.a. Smeagol. Hi, Lee. You haven't missed much. I thought the thing was starting at 10:30 my time. It's starting at 11:30 my time. So we're killing time until we get there. And we're reading Peter Navarro's sentencing request to the court, courtesy of him. So Smeagol accepted informal February 28th. Hunter, behind closed doors. God damn it. These fucking assholes. Can't believe it. Everyone say hi, Lee. Oh, Lee. That's crazy. God damn it. Okay. All right. Okay, so he accepted informal service of the subpoena, communicated to the committee's rep that President Trump had informed him to invoke executive privilege over the subpoena on Trump's behalf. Okay. After some back and forth communication discussions with the select committee's representative, Smeagol believed he had Badger, a filet and shrimp with whiskey cream sauce. Oh my God, I'm dying. Now I am hungry. When the case starts, I can eat my rest of my English muffin. Okay. So he believed that he had invoked testimonial immunity based on his communications with Trump, which he relayed to the committee's representative. Also based this belief on his understanding of the DOJ's longstanding Are you kidding me? What? His understanding of the Department of Justice's longstanding policy of not pursuing contempt of Congress charges against executive branch officials who Congress voted to hold. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? So he's still making the argument that Trump gave him whatever, blah, blah, blah. June 2nd, he was arrested in a public airport before being able to self-surrender and was eventually released on personal recognizance. Both prior to and after that moment, Smeagol consistently asserted that President Trump had invoked executive privilege, and that Smeagol understood that at the very least to mean that he could not be prosecuted solely for his default upon the Select Committee's subpoena, and that Smeagol's actions were informed by the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General legal opinions, which stated individuals in Smeagol's position should not be prosecuted. To my knowledge, no high-ranking senior White House official has ever wound up in leg irons after simply standing for constitutional privilege, executive privilege, and testimonial immunity. Such an invocation. Wait, what is this? The court held an evidentiary hearing to determine whether Trump had properly invoked executive privilege. Such an invocation by a former president would act as a constitutional constraint on the scope of the contempt statute, not a diminution of the congressional authority to issue compulsory process in the first instance. Sorry, I just like to read it like that. The court will therefore permit defendant, through his own testimony or other evidence, to establish the factual predicate for the actual proper invocation of executive privilege, or testimonial immunity, or both, by the former president. Yeah, ultimately the court said no, he has not. He doesn't have the right to invoke privilege, and he never did invoke privilege while in office. So there. Yeah. So on September 7th, this is what happens to the little kids. Smeagol becomes the first former senior presidential advisor to be convicted of contempt of Congress. Congratulations, Smeagol. You're first at something, darling. Summer, hello, darling. How are you? It's good to see you. Hope you're well. Oh, go get it, girl. I gotta go to the gym. I gotta find a gym, first of all. That's what I gotta do. I gotta find a gym. Have a great workout. Funny, Lent around the corner, my hubby gets so excited. Fish on Friday's a must. I have to remind him it's a sacrifice, not a pleasure. Oh, Summer, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. The court said that yes, exactly. Oh, Summer, you're really kind. That's really kind of you. Thank you. Full money back guarantee. Well, maybe not fish. Well, but I mean, if somebody really likes fish, you're a sweetheart. If someone really likes fish, then I guess that's okay. I'm not a big fish eater. I wish I was. I could eat like lobster. I could eat shellfish all day long. All day long. Oh. Yeah. Weird. Oh, you're sweet. You're sweet. We gotta get you monetized again, right? You're not monetized anymore because of certain people. I hate people. Thanks, babe. You're amazing too. You're really amazing. You're like in the real world amazing. I just play amazing on the internet. Kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not amazing. Yeah, we're just killing time until this. Oh, it's 11:11. We're killing time until this court thing starts. Yeah, thank you, Summer. You only meant, oh no, I wouldn't put Worcestershire sauce on fish. You know what I put that on? I put that on Chex Mix. Okay, that's what I do. Yes, I remember that. When's that? Does that ever change? Can you go back or do you have to start a new channel? They're monetizing people early now. I got monetized before 1,000 subscribers. I'm never gonna get 1,000 subscribers. I'm gonna be happy here. Well, I know they like to lash out at people. Weirdos. They're just weird and cringy and thirsty. I don't text back because I'm not thirsty. So far, I can't do anything, but I did. Yes, right. The Let's Play channel. You'll get monetized on that one. Yeah, you'll get monetized on that. Yes, Chex Mix. Oh man, yeah, lots of butter. Okay, I gotta stop because I'm making myself really hungry right now. Okay, we gotta get through the rest of this. September 7th, 2023. Dr. Smeagol became the. Okay, yeah. So that was it, and too bad, so sad. Because you're dumb, you just didn't show up to testify. That's literally what all of this is about. It's willful. Oh God, history and characteristics of the defendant. Smeagol's parents divorced when he was about 9 years old. Although Smeagol's upbringing was a stable one, and he enjoyed healthy relationships with his late mother and with his brothers. Smeagol is twice divorced, so he really can't hold down a woman, and he's currently engaged to an orc. Importantly, Smeagol suffers from debilitating health issues that cannot be treated when incarcerated. Because of the bloodletting, you see. Engaged? What? Who is he engaged to? What is he engaged to? I know. Yes, that's true. Actually, it's faster to support you through your Cash App, which I can't remember what it is right now, but if you remind me what your Cash App is. No, we do not. It's the snowball. It just takes time. Oh no, I know. It's just what it is. What a catch. Well, I mean, I would, if he had any money, like I'd marry him just before he goes into prison. Take everything he has. Oh my God, to what? I like having our chat. I admit that, Siegfried. At first I was like, oh, I want more people. And I'm like, no, I don't. I mean, yeah, I do. Obviously, anyone's welcome within boundaries. He does or says he does. Yeah, okay. A lot could have changed since he wrote this document too. There we go. Hot mess, real talk. Donations go to outreach. It's a Cash App, right? I believe. My chat's so smart. My chat's freaking smart. Ah, we're gonna go there next because I think really Smeagol has really worn out his welcome on this fucking thing. You are welcome to hide. You are welcome to hide here. I mean, good luck because sometimes they sneak in, but you know, whatevs. We can get rid of them pretty fast. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, I better get to the prosecution memo, huh? Hold on. Let me see. Oh, here we go. How long is this one? Oh, 20 pages. Okay. All right. And let me check the court. You know how Atlanta is. Oh my God, Judge McAfee. Mr. Slow. No, he's not in there yet. Okay. Again, thank you to for sharing these documents. I'm sorry. My eyes are watering again. Okay. No, filed yesterday. Yeah, see? Oh, well, yeah. A lot could have changed between the filing and today. I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay, this is the United States now. Filed yesterday as well. And said, no, hold up. Wait a minute. I have 15 minutes. Yes. Hat tip to Kyle Cheney. Yes. Yes. True. But still, you're the one that pointed out. Okay. Now, when Smeagol was served with a subpoena, he thumbed his nose at the congressional authority and refused to comply, even before knowing what information the committee sought. He cloaked his bad faith strategy of defiance and contempt behind baseless, unfounded invocations of executive privilege and immunity that could not and would never apply to his situation. The committee sought documents and testimony from the defendant pertinent to a matter of national importance, the circumstances that led to the violent attack on the Capitol on January 6, and the disruption of the peaceful transfer of power. But the defendant, like the rioters at the Capitol, put politics, not country, first, and stonewalled Congress's investigation. The defendant chose allegiance to former President Donald Trump over the rule of law, even after being apprised that executive privilege would not excuse his default. For his sustained, deliberate contempt of Congress, the defendant should be sentenced to 6 months imprisonment for each count, top end of the applicable United States sentencing guidelines range, and fined $200,000. Well, that's not that much. He could get that from one of his, actually, I guess he can't. I gotta find that thing of him when he got really scared. Oh man, I gotta find that. Okay, wait. Hold on. I know we're not gonna finish this, but when McAfee is done, we'll come back and finish reading this. But first, I want to see if Navarro and Bannon. I wonder what date that was. Gosh, it wasn't that long ago. But literally, he was panicking. Legitimately panicking. Past a month. Let's see. Oh, damn. They just don't make it easy, do they? And what was the deal with the person walking in underwear behind Dick Morris on that video? What was that? 1 week ago. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is it. Do 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 do. Shh. Wait, I need to have. Give me my Smeagol. He always puts Mike Lindell at the end now. Mike comes on, sells a couple pillows. Steve says, okay, get the fuck out of here now. Oh, I guess this isn't the one with Smeagol. All right, I'm going to find that while we're watching. While we are watching McAfee. In fact, let me check McAfee. Oh, juggling so much. It's like a high-pressured newsroom in here. That's right. But we all smoke pot. Okay, it's not on yet. It's not on yet. Do. I'm loving it. Steep, I think, for the crime. I mean, probably, because, it's contempt of Congress. I mean, this is why I'm not that fired up about this particular event, is because I want to get to the other part. I want to get to the part. I don't use that word, serenity. That word is actually a slur. So we can't do that. We can't use that. Can't profit. I know. Oh yeah, that's why he wrote his book so fast. Yeah. But he admitted, remember, he really admitted a lot in that book. And that's when, what's his name? Ari Melber had him on. Oh my God, those were the best. Yeah, I guess they're falling within the guidelines, but still, I understand. I want to see him. I want to see him talk about, I want to know what Garrett Ziegler did. Okay. I want to know what shenanigans little Garrett Ziegler got involved in. Okay. That's what I want. That's what I want. I don't want anything else. Well, I do. I want a lot. I want Boris Epstein too. Stealing. Yeah. I just don't know. Oh, I don't know easily. I think that is, I think we're going to, I don't know this, but I think we're going to find out that Kash Patel had a lot to do with documents. Because remember, after he went to the Pentagon, after he left the Pentagon, he got an assignment, and I could be wrong about this, so someone should correct me. He got an assignment at the National Archives. So I think that Kash had something to do with which documents were taken, i.e. Crossfire Hurricane. I wonder if those documents have been destroyed, and if those were the only copies. Does anyone know from a government document retention standpoint if they create copies of certain documents or all documents get a copy? I don't understand how A, how they determined that documents were missing unless it was really obvious, and B, you would know then what was stolen. And I don't know. I understand canon has a lot to do with how slow. Yeah, Cash Patel. Such a dick. I wish I didn't have to remind you about him. I wish he wasn't real. But he is, and he's a chud. He's king of the chuds. Yeah, I mean, where's Cleta Mitchell's name? Where's Cleta Mitchell's name? Where's Johnny McEntee's name? Where's well, Mike Roman, I know we're starting to hear about him, but where's the rest of his stuff? Like, let's hear it, folks. Come on. Step up to the mic. We're all ears. I always get this wrong. Usually I get it wrong where it starts earlier than I think it's going to start. So at least I didn't do that. But thanks for hanging in there this long. And if you're just joining us, welcome to Lolo's Lounge, where we make fun of right-wing politicians and pundits. Because we can. A lesser marquee at best. Yes. Alec Baldwin is gonna face another involuntary manslaughter charge. Yeah. I believe they put false info in documents before he came in, and Trump stole the fake ones. I think that's an excellent plot twist. Easily. I like the way you think. That is thinking outside the box. I know. We kind of forget all the other parts. What is it Bannon says? Flood the zone with shit. He did. He did. We gotta meme him back. Go meme him back right now. Right now. Do 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 do. Wow. People, you know what? You could turn your cameras on a few minutes before court starts. I don't know. I don't think that's so wrong. Prosecution requests full 6 months for each. Still there, Dempsey. My bad. 2 to 3 seems plausible. I think it does seem plausible. I think it does seem plausible. I don't think he'll do the max, like Oomph said. Who is this? This is Mehta, right? Who's the judge on this? Is it Mehta? I don't even know. I know. I hope. Well, here's the thing. Mission accomplished, okay? Because that dude is really scared of a jail cell. Okay? So he gave his tell away when he came out of the little prison cell the first time and said, "They put me in shackles." Yeah, I think it is Maida. "They put me in shackles. And then I was really cold." So he's not, this dude got a little tiny baby taste of what he wants, what he's going to experience if he really goes to prison. So the back of my mind is, that's May. I think it's either, it's either March or May, I thought. I thought it was May for some reason, Dempsey. I thought it was May. I could be wrong about that. I wondered that too, and then someone answered. Yeah. Oh, Cleta and Rick. Cleta has a fucking shit ton of history wanting to manipulate on behalf of the CNP, the Council on National Policy, the Heritage Institute, the fucking Claremont Institute, the Claremont Institute. Their shit's really scary. If you don't follow them on Twitter, I don't really recommend it, although I do follow them to keep on top of what they're saying. They say the most vile shit. Most vile shit. You thought Nauta was a plant? I just don't know if any, you know, the key word in that, Jen Griffin, is intelligence. Okay? They're not sending their best. Right-wing extremism seems to do something to your brain. Now, granted, Nauta probably has a lot more shit going on. So I don't know what his story is. I don't think he's a true believer. I just think he has been sold a bill of goods that this is the only chance he has. That's what I think. I think Nauta is listening to people around him like, you know, Jason Miller and Dan Scavino and whoever else who are saying, no, don't go back, don't go against the boss. You know what I mean? Well, it's probably Boris. I could imagine that. I'd like to see those, like, who else is Nauta hanging out with? Who else is he hanging out with? I don't give a shit if he hangs out with Trump. Who else is Nauta talking to? So I don't think he's intelligent enough to flip and like wear a wire or something. He doesn't strike me as someone who would take that on. I think so. Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Hold on. Is that a Trump paid for lawyer? Oomph, do you know? October 20th, 2023. Trump co-defendant Nauta to keep attorney despite conflict of interest. Yep, Stanley Woodward. Yep. Here we go. Hold on. A valet to former President Trump told a judge Friday, this was in October of last year, that he wanted to keep his lawyer despite a potential conflict of interest. Prosecutors maintain Woodward, who represents Trump valet Nauta, has a conflict because he previously represented an information technology specialist who's expected to be a key government witness at trial. So he, probably that Tavares, right? It's so weird. It's so weird to me. And I hope someone is actually, well, I mean, is it a Trump team lawyer, I guess is a better way to put it. Sorry. Trump team. I don't think anyone around Donald Trump doesn't have skeletons, because I think that's how he keeps people by him, is by gathering souls. So I think that's what he's doing. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought that it was a Trump team lawyer. It's so weird. It's such a weird time. Well, okay, the Save America PAC. Are they getting paid though? I wonder. I need to look at opensecrets.org. Let me pull that up. I'll go check the broadcast. Hold on. Open Secrets. Open Secrets. It's Open Secret season here in the casserole town. Wow, you guys are late. It's official. I'm very disappointed. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to end up like not being in the right place. Totally wrong. Let me try one more thing. Sorry. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Da 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 da. Wonder what his vetting process is like. I got a reporter on a story about Nauta, but he isn't ready to break it yet. Ooh. Well, Steve, do tell. Yeah. Okay, here we go. What? Due in court for motion. Come on now. Come on now. Due in court. 2:30. Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me try this. Do you guys have any cameras up in the courtroom yet? I mean, really. Bum, 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 bum. No, they don't either. I was checking Atlanta News First, which is another YouTube channel that I've been watching. And then I did it, and I did it, and I did it, and I did it. Sorry, Diet Coke Valley. Smash the like, Adriana. Adriana. Bingo. Bingo. Is he wearing a wire, Steve? Can you blink once for yes and twice for no? I think he was, Rick. Wouldn't he be? Wouldn't he be the guy that's with him? Smash that like. Massage the like. We got 27 beautiful souls watching. Oh, ooh la la. Ooh. Steve. Hi, Adriana. It's good to see you. I was eating chicken nuggets when I was catching up with chat. Stop talking about food. We're all starving. The cats are about to eat this frickin' peanut butter I got sitting over here. No wire? Fuck, man. All right. Well, thanks for the spoiler. I think it's better we know. Additional smashing it. Or Adriana's. It was 17 when I got here. Oh, that group. I don't know. These pictures, the pictures that go around, I'm kind of like, come on now. Syphilis hands, I don't know. First of all, that's weird. Well, this is just not starting. Maybe they're just talking to each other. Well, while we're waiting. Do. This is opensecrets.org. It's a great website. Money and politics stories. This is so good. Explore the data. Yeah, I want to explore data. Data makes me hot. Like, I love data. I love data. I am a data slut. I am a slut for data. Executive Chud Box. Yeah, mean, right. Yeah. I degraze. Yeah. No, I understand that. Cold blisters. It could be. I got a text a week ago that the story is going to happen but needs to marinate. Oh, that's cute. I get it. They said it was a paper cut. He picks up paper. Really? You're kidding. He looks pretty bad. I love raw data. I love data. Classified document scar. Good one, Jen. That's a good one. It does look like he burned himself. Just got filthy. Oh, the kids have never seen snow, and it makes it really good. Poor Jim. Jim, you really got it this year. You got both barrels. You got pets. You got puppies and babies. You got it all, babes. He burned himself with a meth pipe? Maybe. Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, he could just be lighting a joint and burn his fingers if he didn't have a good lighter. But he doesn't light his own joints. Good one, Paul. Oh, my God. Okay, sorry. Anyway, yeah, this is a good website. If you don't know about this website, I think everybody on this particular show knows about this website. So I'm not worried. But I will go ahead and copy it and drop the link. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Who's this? Liz and Dick Oline. Billionaire shipping magnates Elizabeth and Richard Oline are one of the most powerful mega donor couples in politics, collectively giving about $90 million to federal Republican candidates and political groups during the 2022 cycle. Good investment. But the couple's cash was split between different factions of the Republican Party. That's right. Uline CEO Dick is the larger and more active donor, known to bankroll anti-tax, anti-union, and anti-establishment political committees. Oh, shocker. Including Restoration PAC, not to be confused with Restoration Hardware or Restoration Movements, although kind of, and Club for Growth Action, which is really an evil motherfucker. Both super PACs received over $65 fucking million during the 2022 election cycle from this motherfucker, who was also one of the biggest financial suck booties of groups, suck groups, that sponsored the pro-Trump March to Save America. Oh, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? My friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? Yeah, Al had syphilis. AI? Who's Al? Oh, AI. Maybe. I told you guys weeks ago that Trump kept comparing himself to Al Capone, but only they have in common as okay, now I get it. I'm sorry. He will. He will. He should. He should. Oh, no, he's not. He's not doing that. He's not doing that. Oh, nicely. Sweet. Yeah, he doesn't smoke pot. I mean, that he would be much calmer. Uline is almost every warehouse in the country, big time supply chain products. I think we need to turn some attention to corporate bullshit. I'm hoping we get there. The start time has moved again to 3:00 EST. Bitches get stitches. Oh my god, they're trying to kill us. Okay. They're trying to negotiate, I bet. What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet they negotiate and the fact that they're just going to like, whatever. He's going to flip. Who's he going to flip on? Who's he going to flip on? All the flippers have already, the flips are flipped. I don't think Harrison has anything of value to offer. That's what I think. All right, well, we're going to go back to our document then. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. We know how to fill time and use our time wisely, people. Anyway, he is joining the Miami Dolphins organization. Oh my god. Oh my god. This guy. Does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care about time? I think you're right. I think you're right, Rick. I think you're right. I think you are correct, sir. They have not come on. And usually he actually is in, Yes, thank you. Yeah, it wasn't Donald Trump. It was a bad flipper. Oh, wait. Oh, he's joining the Miami. Oh, I'm so sorry, Steve. No, that was a user error on my part. I didn't get it. but now I get it. He's in the first batch of pancakes at the IHOP. That's what he's doing. He's hopping like the first pancake at IHOP in the morning. And by morning, I mean any time of day or night because it's 24/7, people. I love a good dad joke. We're all here for the dad jokes. He's flipper, he's flipper, he's flipping along. Oh, we need to do that song. Because there will be more flippers. I kind of want to make like a whole flipper song. Some lyrics. I guess lyrics aren't really like, Oh, wait, there are lyrics. They call him Flipper, Flipper, faster than lightning. No one you see is smarter. I don't know how to sing it. Is he? And we know Flipper lives in a world full of wonder, flying there under the sea. Everyone loves the king of the sea, ever so kind and gentle. I'm going to rewrite this bitch. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I won't spoil it because I'm going to write that. I know I still owe you another song, but I'll get there. Okay, wait, let me come back. Holding up the trial. I wonder who's late. Well, maybe they're busy talking to John Eastman because somebody said they saw him arrive at the courthouse. Does anybody have an update on John Eastman and his tingly ball sack? It's probably something. I'll bet you it's John Eastman. My mother they went with her and they had a garden that Capone planted after they tree. Oh, okay. It's a syphilis garden. I'm sorry, Jim. I did not know that. I mean, I think I did hear that he had syphilis, but I didn't really. It didn't stick in my brain. Let's put it that way. I don't keep track of everybody's STDs. Help the government to wake up and help the poor at the end of depression. Otherwise, they would idolize gangsters. People were starving out of work, losing homes. Capone fed them. I remember. I remember hearing something about that. Well, we just learned about Huey Long and how he did so much in terms of like social services, I guess, but under the guise of being completely on the take. And yeah, syphilis. That's true, I guess. I'll tell you who deals with it is doctors. God doesn't do a very good job of fixing it. He just gave it, I guess. All right, here we go. So the procedural background is that the defendant defaulted on the demand for documents. Oh, we had all of that. We went over that. He was just butthead. At the defendant's trial, the reason he willfully defaulted, that is, why he deliberately chose not to comply with the subpoena, was not relevant. Now at sentencing, it is. The court can and should consider the defendant's motive as part of his history and characteristics, and as part of the nature and circumstances of the offense. Confirming that the defendant's motive for committing the offense is an important factor to consider when imposing sentence. The factual record in this case is replete with proof that with respect to the committee's subpoena, the defendant consistently shielded his defiance behind claims of executive privilege he knew to be meritless, and did so because of his contempt for the committee and its mission. The sentence imposed on the defendant must vindicate the authority of Congress to investigate matters of national importance and demonstrate that attacks on Congress's lawful authority as a co-equal branch of government will not be tolerated. Replete used right. It's almost like they meant to do that, right? Oomph. I think that was like a, I see you. No, it was replete. It was replete. It was replete. It was replete and it was properly grammared. And it was also rife. It was both replete and rife with a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of stuff going on in there. Okay. So let's see. June 30th, the U.S. Okay, blah, part of investigation. Talk with others. He wasn't going to talk to Congress. He talked to everybody else. Jose Palieri, Trump advisor Peter Navarro lays out how he and Bannon plan to overturn Biden's electoral win. Yeah, I'm not copying that. The defendant responded within 3 minutes and stated only, yes, no counsel, executive privilege. I remember that. I mean, I remember it when we read it like 2 days ago. Okay, between the time of the subpoena, okay, blah, blah, blah. This is all the attempts to get him to cooperate. After listing several of the subjects over which President Biden had decided not to invoke privilege, letter continued. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. We really know all of that. If you watched a couple days ago. No, this one doesn't have as many errors as Mr. Smiegel's response, or I guess plea to the government. I don't know. What is that? What is that when you make when you're begging the court? No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Government responded, this, that. He didn't do it. He said no. He said privilege. We said no. Then he said privilege, and they said no. When asked if Trump himself was involved in the strategy, when asked if Trump himself was involved in the strategy to stop the January 6th certification, Navarro said, I never spoke directly to him about it, but he certainly was on board. He was certainly on board with the strategy. Just listen to his speech that day. He'd been briefed on the law and how Mike had the authority to it. Oh my God. Now claims he's accepted responsibility for his conduct, but for his executive privilege-based legal challenge. All right, this is where he wrote his book. This is In Trump Time. He repeatedly refers to the committee as a kangaroo court involved in what he describes as a witch hunt of the former president. He remains in denial about the nature and scope of his conduct, going so far as to state in a post-verdict press conference that, I was not tried for contempt of Congress today. That's not what the trial was about. I'm not here convicted because of contempt of Congress. I'm here because of association with J6. I don't know. Do you think you should say that? Memorandum to aid the government. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see. He lamented in a fundraising email, why do Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden want to put Peter Navarro in prison now? Because Peter is standing up to a kangaroo congressional committee, standing tall for our Constitution, President Trump, and our country. Bleh. Well, bleh. A YouTube video of the press conference. Yeah. In a June 1, 2022 opinion article in the Washington Times titled January 6th Committee is a Kangaroo Committee, well, that would be the title, he accused the committee of using unauthorized subpoenas, clearly seeking to punish Mr. Trump and his most senior advisors, of which I am one. Oh, I'm going to do that. I want to look at that story, Jim. That's cool. That's really cool. Yes, memorandum to aid the government. I would imagine easily. I mean, if people do like real things for people, it's hard to turn that down. Oops, let me just check our courtroom, because sometimes these little fellers, they surprise you. These old judges, they probably just sneak in there sometimes. Nope. Okay. Nope. Okay. The pre-sentence investigation. After the defendant was found guilty, the probation office initiated a routine. Okay, for the defendant's part, he cooperated in that investigation only insofar as it was convenient to his interests. He freely answered questions about his family, his professional life, his personal background, his health, his tennis game. But the defendant refused to disclose his financial records, instead insisting that he was willing and able to pay any fine imposed. Well, guess what, sweetheart? I hope you have $200,000. because coming at you is a big bill from the DOJ. Allocution. Na, na, na. For each count, 6 months and 100,000. So 200,000, 12 months in prison is what they're recommending. Unless they're saying concurrent, which I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't ask for concurrent. They would ask for like whatever that is. Constant. Oh, whatever. You know what I mean. Okay, this is about the sentencing appropriateness and the guidelines. I think that's it. And I think that's it. Oh, you know what? I kind of want to go to, let me go to this. Shit. Come on. Daily Beast. I also hate the Daily Beast. How about that? Okay, wait. What am I saying here? Can I search? Oh, here. I want to search for. Shit. I want to. Where's the search thing? Am I like crazy? Oh, I see. Ah! What's that? Sorry, I need to yell. Okay. Navarro. I am Bannon. I'm sorry, kids. I'm sorry, I'm not better organized. Attention donors. Attention donors. Oh, here we no. Oh, here we go. There we go. Oh, let me copy it for you all. All right, this is updated December 28th, 2021. Oh, I'm Smeagol. A former Trump White House official says he and right-wing provocateur Steve Bannon were actually behind the last-ditch coordinated effort by rogue Republicans in Congress to halt certification of the 2020 election results and keep President Donald Trump in power earlier this year in a plan dubbed the Green Bay Sweep. In his recently published memoir, Smeagol, then President Donald Trump's trade advisor, details how he stayed in close contact with Bannon as they put the Green Bay Sweep in motion with help from members of Congress loyal to the cause. But in an interview last week with the Daily Beast, Smeagol shed additional light on his role in the operation and their coordination with politicians like Representative Paul Gosar and Senator Ted Cruz. We spent a lot of time lining up over 100 congressmen, including some senators. It started out perfectly. At 1 p.m., Gosar and Cruz did exactly what was expected of them, Navarro told the Daily Beast. It was a perfect plan, and it all predicated on peace and calm on Capitol Hill. We didn't even need any protesters because we had over 100 congressmen committed to it. That commitment appeared as Congress was certifying the 2020 Electoral College votes, reflecting that Joe Biden beat Trump. Senator Cruz signed off on Gosar's official objection to counting Arizona's electoral ballots, an effort that was supported by dozens of other Trump loyalists. Staffers for Cruz and Gosar did not respond to requests for comment. There's no public indication whether the Jan 6 committee has sought testimony or documents from Senator Cruz or Rep. Gosar, but the committee has only recently begun to seek evidence from fellow members of Congress who were involved in the general effort to keep Trump in the White House, such as Representative Jim Jordan and Rep. Scott Perry. This last-minute maneuvering never had any chance of actually decertifying the election results on its own, a point that Navarro quickly acknowledges. But their hope was to run the clock as long as possible to increase public pressure on then Vice President Mike Pence to send the electoral votes back to 6 contested states, where Republican-led legislatures could try to overturn the results. And in their mind, ramping up pressure on Pence would require media coverage. While most respected news organizations refused to regurgitate unproven conspiracy theories about widespread election fraud, this plan hoped to force journalists to cover the allegations by creating a historic delay to the certification process. Woo! Yeah, I don't think Smeagol doesn't have a whole lot of money, right? He raised some money, um, but I don't know what his current piggy bank stands at. Oh, they're still not on. Boo, 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 boo. Okay. Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay. Quote, the Green Bay sweep was very well thought out. It was designed to get us 24 hours of televised hearings, he said. But we thought that we could bypass the corporate media by getting this stuff televised. Navarro's part in this ploy was to provide the raw materials, he said in an interview on Thursday. That came in the form of a 3-part White House report he put together during his final weeks in the Trump administration, with volume titles like The Immaculate Deception and The Art of the Steal. My role was to provide the receipts for the 100 congressmen or so who would make their cases, who could rely in part on the body of evidence I'd collected, he told the Daily Beast, to lay the legal predicate for the actions to be taken. Ultimately, states have not found any evidence of electoral fraud above the norm, which is exceedingly small. The next phase of the plan was up to Bannon, Navarro describes in his memoir, In Trump Time. Steve Bannon's role was to figure out how to use this information, what he called receipts. I can't see this print. Sorry, I'm going to make that print bigger. That's how Steve had come up with the Green Bay sweep idea, he wrote. The political and legal beauty of the strategy was this. By law, both the House of Representatives and the Senate must spend up to 2 hours of debate per state on each requested challenge. For the 6 battleground states, that would add up to as much as 24 hours of nationally televised hearings across the 2 chambers of Congress. His book also notes that Bannon was the first person he communicated with when he woke up at dawn on January 6, writing, I check my messages and am pleased to see Steve Bannon has us fully ready to implement our Green Bay sweep on Capitol Hill. Call the play, run the play. Navarro told the Daily Beast he felt fortunate that someone canceled his scheduled appearance to speak to Trump supporters that morning at the Ellipse, a park south of the White House that would serve as a staging area before the violent assault on the U.S. Capitol. It was better for me to spend that morning working on the Green Bay sweep, just checking to see that everything was in line, that congressmen were on board, he said during the interview. It was a pretty mellow morning for me. I was convinced everything was set in place. Later that day, Bannon made several references to the football-themed strategy on his daily podcast, War Room Pandemic. We are right on the cusp of victory, Bannon said on the show. It's quite simple. Play's been called. Mike Pence, run the play. Take the football. Take the handoff from the quarterback. You've got guards in front of you. You've got big, strong people in front of you. Just do your duty. Let me check on our courtroom. Because it's 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock. Come on. Come on. Oops. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Do. Oh, no, that's me. That's not the courtroom. That's me. So many good articles that I've even I've forgotten about them. Okay. They haven't started yet. Okay. Oh, I'm just having wicked allergies. Okay. We are right on the cusp of victory, Bannon said on the show. Okay, wait, blah, blah, blah. Just do your duty. Okay. This idea was weeks in the making. Although Navarro told the Daily Beast he doesn't remember when Brother Bannon came up with the plan, he said it started taking shape as Trump's Stop the Steal legal challenges to election results in Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin fizzled out. Courts wouldn't side with Trump, thanks to what Navarro describes in his book as the highly counterproductive antics of Sidney Powell and her Kraken lawsuits. So instead, they came up with a never-before-seen scheme through the legislative branch. Smeagol starts off his book's chapter about the strategy by mentioning how Stephen K. Bannon, myself, and President Trump were the last 3 people on God's green earth who want to see violence erupt on Capitol Hill, as it would disrupt their plans. When asked if Trump himself was involved in the strategy, Smeagol said, I never spoke to him directly about it, but he was certainly on board with the strategy. Just listen to his speech that day. He'd been briefed on the law and how Mike had the authority to do it, I imagine. Indeed. Trump legal advisor Johnny Eastman had penned a memo first revealed by journalists Robert Costa and Bob Woodward in their book Peril, outlining how Trump could stage a coup. And Trump clearly referenced the plan during his January 6th speech when he said, "I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. All Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states to recertify, and we become president, and you are the happiest people." When Pence certified the electoral votes instead, he became what Smiegel's book described as the Brutus most responsible for the final betrayal of President Trump. Although the bipartisan House committee investigating the violence on January 6 has demanded testimony and records from dozens of Trump allies and rally organizers believed to be involved in the attack on the nation's democracy, Navarro said he hasn't heard from them yet. This was in December of 2021. The committee did not respond to our questions about whether it intends to dig into Smiegel's activities. Oh, Jack Smith will, though, baby. And while he has text messages, phone calls, and memos that could show how closely an active White House official was involved in the effort to keep Trump in power, he says investigators won't find anything that shows the Green Bay sweep plan involved violence, because he thinks that's the point. Instead, Navarro said, the investigative committee would find that the mob's attack on the U.S. Capitol building actually foiled their plans because it incentivized Pence and other Republicans to follow through with certification. Yeah, bullshit. No, you're full of shit. That's what I'm going to say. You're full of absolute mind-boggling shit.
In our country, under custom and practice as a doctoral prefix to the name, that's the explanation for Dr. Eastman. And I wanted to put that on the record.
Damn it.
We're here today briefly to supplement, if you will, not to argue the written motion file on behalf of Dr. Eastman for special demurrer on count 1. I'd like to say at the outset that we would like to adopt the argument made by Amanda Clark Palmer last Friday on the very issue that we raised in our special demurrer as well, and on the supplemental brief that was filed on behalf of Mr. Smith by the Garland Samuel Loeb firm on this special issue as well.
And y'all adopted by way of formal filing as well.
Well, I'll be glad to do that.
Okay.
We had not, the supplemental brief was not, did not come in before the 8th of January. So we haven't filed anything.
But their initial motion that kicked off this whole thing, you've adopted that, right?
Right.
Okay. I think that's sufficient.
That's all. I just wanted to make it clear on the record. The principal 2 issues raised in our special demurrer was that, and I argue it as if it were federally like a bill of particulars, that the indictment does not describe the connections or relationships among the defendants with the enterprise, nor does it describe anywhere how the members of the enterprise function as a continuing unit. Now, I know the state has filed its response this morning to our pleading. And so the issues are pretty well joined. What I wanted to bring to the court's attention, if I may get my reading glasses so I don't make any further errors. So I'm referencing to page 6 of the state's pleading this morning, in which they point out that the overt acts, including those that constitute racketeering activity committed by the defendants, were designed and intended to further the objective of unlawfully changing the outcome of the election in favor of Trump. And so with that as their North Star, it would appear that the allegations in the indictment, and more specifically looking at page 7, The state writes, specifically as to Eastman, the indictment alleges that he acted together with and was in regular communication with multiple co-conspirators. Eastman's activities and furtherance of the enterprise's objectives included communications to Georgia government officials, communications with conspirators in Georgia, and efforts at unlawfully changing the outcome of the election that went to the highest levels of government and involved direct coordination with defendant Trump. In that regard, it notes that Dr. Eastman at a point in time made a presentation. It was a Zoom presentation before the Georgia subcommittee of the Georgia Senate. And just focusing on that conduct, Your Honor, which was described as being collectively, allegedly, together with others at that period of time in presentations to the Georgia Senate, Dr. Eastman making false statements to the Georgia Senate. We have no indication specifically as to the alleged false statements that he made. But to the extent this has not been raised before, I wish to raise it now. Unlike under the First Amendment to the federal Constitution, freedom of speech clause, we also have a clause of being able to address government for grievances. So we have yet a different type of First Amendment right being exercised by Dr. Eastman in his presentation to the Georgia State Senate. Now, whatever was said is recorded, it's evidence, it's going to be played, so it is what it is. But in the indictment, we have on page 16, paragraph 1, the grand jury alleges that members of the enterprise corruptly solicited Georgia legislators instead to unlawfully appoint their own presidential legislators for the purpose of casting electoral votes for Donald Trump. The word corruptly is an interesting word because it would appear to connote a degree of mens rea or specific intent. What is it that makes what was said corrupt? Was it something in the words themselves? We don't know. This is where I'm coming at from the work on the special demurrer. We don't know what it is the state's theory of the underlying nature, whether by direct, it should be by direct quotes, taken in the full context of the presentation, that makes the words of Dr. Eastman corruptly stated. Likewise, and more particularly because this is more unique to Dr. Eastman, there are allegations, and in its response to the special mirror demotion motion, the state makes a point to bring up the various meetings Dr. Eastman had with Vice President Mike Pence, some involving then President Trump as well. And in the indictment, referring to the same phraseology on page 18, paragraph 6, it identifies that members, quote, members of the enterprise, including several of the defendants, corruptly solicited the Vice President of the United States to violate the United States Constitution and federal law by unlawfully rejecting electoral college votes cast in Fulton County, Georgia, by duly elected and qualified presidential electors from Georgia. Members of the enterprise also corruptly solicited the Vice President to reject votes cast by the duly elected qualified presidential electors from several other states. Again, what is it within the language of the communication allegedly made by Dr. Eastman or within his presence that indicates what is corrupt about the language? What is it that do we refer back to, or are we referred back to the overall so-called objective of the racketeering, the alleged objective of the racketeering activity in the enterprise through the acts of racketeering? Or are we just to anticipate that what corruptly will be defined as is whatever the state just simply argues it to be? It's a violation,
No, sweetie.
you know,
It's called lying.
ipso facto,
You can't lie.
the electoral,
You can't lie.
the election had been certified, therefore any communication contrary to the certification of the Biden electors, ipso facto makes it corrupt.
Is it so much the word corrupt, or it's just that you believe that there should be a more specific reference to exactly the content of the speech? So, for example, that it just said illegally solicited. Again, maybe we'll hear exactly where the word corrupt was used, if that's more of a term of art or what. But is it the corruption that's causing the confusion in your argument, or is it more that just they haven't put in the quote, this is what he said on this particular
I'm
day?
looking for more detail specifically. I'm looking for more detail. Why? Because the issue is going to arise
Well,
at the
strap
time
in,
of the
bitch. You should
resting
watch
of the
the Eastman
state's
hearing
case in
then.
chief, whether or not, based on the terms and language of this indictment, the state has met its burden, or the case can proceed to a jury, if you will. So I don't have any hesitation in telling the court, this is where we're coming from. More detail. And that essentially is our argument. And I don't certainly given the amount of time the court has had to spend it already with the adoption of the previous arguments, I have nothing further to say at this time.
Well, I'm curious. I know that the filed motion focused more on kind of the Boyle factors, kind of identifying how this enterprise is associated with what they did, kind of wanting more detail about the enterprise. I'm just curious, have you found an indictment, maybe post-Boyle, that you think satisfies that, in your opinion, satisfied it? And no one's actually handed me an indictment that says this is a good post-Boyle indictment, other than this one, which the state is saying is. I'm just curious.
I mean, I first, to answer directly, I have not yet tried to make that search because I think it's a case-by-case specific analysis. Clearly, in an association, in fact, enterprise, there has to be some delineation as to the relationship among the conspirators in terms of their role. Now, from a federal racketeering point of view, you can't have, a person who lacks managerial capacity or some level of decision-making authority as part of the member of the enterprise. I mean, there is some substance to each and every person's role. In the Ernst v. Young, the Supreme Court case dealing with the position of a person with some authority in the association, in fact, enterprise. The janitor is not a person who would generally be swept into the terminology of an enterprise, of an organization, is my simple point.
Okay.
But what I will be glad to do for the court is to supplement our position, answering the court's question directly.
All right. Well, I guess that, I don't know. I don't know if I'm worried I'm going down the rabbit hole on this one. Was the argument that, I know you said you wanted more information about the enterprise and each defendant's role in it, but I hadn't heard this one yet, that if they don't have some level of authority, they can't be included in the enterprise.
Well,
I don't know if that's in here.
Basic federal law.
Okay.
I hesitate to suggest it should be adopted by the court.
Okay. Well, I'll put it this way: if it's not in the written motions initially, I won't get there.
Okay. Well, then we're not going to get there.
Okay. Well, let's turn it over to Mr. Floyd, and we'll let you have the last word as well.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
I will start where my friend Mr. Parker ended. The test he's referring to, as he said, is Reeves versus Ernst & Young. That's referred to as the operation or management test under federal law. It does not apply to Georgia law. there is a linguistic distinction. The federal statute, 18 U.S.C. 1962C, says conduct or participate in the conduct of the enterprise. The two dual use of conduct led the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, to conclude that that imposes some level of influence or control. Georgia says conduct or participate. Under Georgia law, participation is sufficient. There is no operation, management, or conduct requirement. This is expressly laid out in Fallace, F-A-I-L-L-A-C-E, which we've cited a number of times.
All right, fair enough. But I think because I don't think a brief has actually raised this yet or a motion, so we can.
It doesn't. In fact, I don't think
it's
anything
their
Mr.
words.
Parker argued was in the brief. There is no reference to petitioning for redress of grievances in the brief. There's no reference to corruptly in the brief. And he omits to address the fact that Mr. Eastman, I mean, what this has mutated into, it started out as a challenge to the Boyle factors. Let me just knock that out for a second.
Mr. Eastman lied
there are
to
four
the
reasons
legislature
why
when he
those don't
testified
apply.
as an expert in the
First,
Constitution and not
we've talked about
Trump's
this, so I'll
lawyer.
be brief and try and avoid
He was
repeating myself.
Trump's
For the record,
lawyer
I'll adopt the
and
same
didn't
arguments
disclose it.
we made in opposition to Ms. Palmer's motion last week, and I will do my very best not to repeat them unnecessarily. First, no Georgia court has adopted Boyle. Second, Boyle was not a conspiracy case. Boyle dealt with jury instructions after the record had been made, after the trial.
That is also miserable,
Third,
Karen. I'm
Boyle,
so brain is equally or different types of miserable.
let's see, jury instruction case. Fourth, an enterprise is not an element of a RICO conspiracy case. We cite your United States v. Applins out of the Second Circuit on that. It's in our brief. There are at least 3 other circuits that have reached the same conclusion. I haven't found a federal circuit that reached the opposite conclusion. So Boyle just doesn't apply. But if Boyle did, as I pointed out in earlier arguments, we trace its language exactly. So there's not a Boyle problem here. What the argument has really mutated into is the idea that we haven't said enough detail about overt acts we allege Mr. Eastman engaged in. 2 flaws for that, as we've pointed out in earlier briefs, so I won't belabor it. The state isn't required to allege the details of overt acts at all. We don't have to allege elements. We don't have to get into things like corruptly, which really just means illegally in a context like this. This is just not a pleading requirement, and Dr. Eastman cites no case saying it is. The federal cases, which incidentally apply exactly the same pleading standard as the Georgia cases do when they look at special demurrers, have rejected any such requirement. And I'll give you the cites of a couple of those in a moment. But just to start with United States versus Kelly, 462 F sub 3rd 191 at 196-97 in Eastern District of New York 2020 case. So relatively fresh off the presses. Expressly goes into this and says there is no requirement that an indictment allege the sub elements of enterprise like the
dramatic uplighting.
The federal courts have just said no, that's not a pleading requirement. It may go to whether the state has proved its case at the end, might be subject to a directed verdict motion, but it is not a pleading requirement. And there are multiple federal cases holding that. Basically, what the federal courts have said is if the indictment basically explains who participated in the enterprise, what they did, describes the purpose, the means and methods, that's sufficient. An example of that is United States versus Torres, Torres, 191 F 3rd 799 at 806. That's a 7th Circuit case. United States versus Johnson, 825 Fed Appendix 156 at 171. 5th Circuit case, also 2020. If the indictment identifies the criminal enterprise, establishes the time in which it operated, names the co-conspirators, and lists the violations that constitute predicate offenses, and says which co-conspirator performed which act and when, that is sufficient. We've done exactly that. We charged in the language of the statute, so that satisfies 17,554, I believe it is, Your Honor. That's number one out of the gate. That's presumptively sufficient. If more detail is required, we described the enterprise, we described its objective, we described the 8 schemes that were pursued in furtherance of it, 2 of which Mr. Parker referred to. We then laid out 161 overt acts. They have the dates, they have the participants. Dr. Eastman, who is saying he can't figure out what he's charged with, at least that's what his demurrer said, we have laid out 16 overt acts, and where he acted with another person, which is the vast majority of them, we have identified who those persons were and the nature of what the communications involved. So, for example, we do refer to his representations to the Georgia Senate, along with defendants Giuliani and Ellis. We refer to his email communications with defendant Shealy and unindicted co-conspirators 8 and 2. We reference him mailing a memo from defendant Chesbrough to defendant Giuliani. We reference his meeting together with Mr. Trump. Sometimes it's a telephone call, sometimes it's face-to-face meeting. Further emails with Chesbrough and unindicted co-conspirator 3. Filing a knowingly false verified complaint together with defendant Trump here in Fulton County. Call to the Speaker of the Arizona House of Representatives soliciting him to unlawfully appoint presidential electors from Arizona. And then this all culminates in approximately 4 overt acts towards the end of the list, which directly involve meetings and communications with Vice President Pence and or Vice President Pence's chief of staff and counsel, all importuning Pence directly or through his representatives to not count the electoral votes from certain states or to suspend the count on January 6th. When there was a reference to the janitor, and there actually is a federal case that does involve a janitor in the Second Circuit, and he was charged in a RICO, and the Second Circuit said, no, the janitor doesn't operate or manage, right? That case has nothing to do with this, number one, because that test doesn't apply, and number two, because janitors don't go to meetings with vice presidents and presidents. Dr. Eastman did. So we're really just getting down to, did this happen or not? And the argument that they need every detail, we've laid out, this is the meeting, this is who was there, this is when it happened, and this is what was discussed. I can't find any case that says that's not good enough. That just basically walks through it. The nexus argument, we've briefed it. It really hasn't been offered here, but you asked about indictments that were adequate. And I have a couple of references for you. First, in Georgia, and I've talked about these, so I won't belabor it, but Pasha has been cited to you many times. This is what Pasha said, and it was a RICO conspiracy indictment challenged by a special demurrer. The indictment clearly gives Pasha notice of the nature of his involvement in the conspiracy, the overt acts attributed to him as advancing the conspiracy, and the underlying predicate offenses which establish racketeering activity. Check, check, check. We have done all 3 of those. And when I say check, it's because we used Pasha, and we literally did check. Grant versus State, a case that preceded Pasha and is frequently looked to by the Georgia courts to look at the adequacy of indictments. Grant said, the indictments are in no way defective for being insufficient to support a prosecution and conviction. The requisite predicate acts and enterprises comprising the charges against appellants are precisely described and named in each instance. No greater detail was required to allege the RICO offense under Georgia law.
And Mr. Floyd, I think what I was getting at
Yeah.
is that they'll, say we've reviewed it, we pronounced it, maybe they'll quote portions, but a lot of times they won't do it at length, right? Probably because these indictments are so long. So I just wonder if you've ever pulled any of them, and we could actually have that as an attached exhibit by way of direct comparison to see what the Court
Right.
of Appeals was looking at.
I will tell Your Honor, in response to your question, we pulled quite a few federal indictments. I recall reading at least 20. And I would be happy to provide examples if those would be useful to the court. They're under federal law, they're not under Georgia law, but the federal sufficiency standard is functionally the same.
Or for example, these Georgia cases that are cited too so frequently, like Pasha and some of those others. I don't know if those are indictments we can get our hands on. Just that would be interesting by way of comparison to be actually seeing what the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court was looking at when they said this is sufficient.
I'm happy to try that. Yes. I hadn't done it before because I don't think I've encountered a court that would have appreciated my attaching that in the past.
I don't mean
They
to give
can be
you
a little
homework.
weighty.
But anyhow,
No, it's an
just a thought.
interesting point. And when I say the federal standard is the same, one of the things I noticed and one of my colleagues noticed is we kept going through the formulation of how the Georgia courts state the pleading standards. And I recognized that this sounded very much like federal law, but the Georgia courts generally were not citing the federal cases. There was a time when Georgia appellate courts often did not cite the United States Supreme Court, even if they were using the same language. But if you look at Cochran versus State, 157 U.S. 286 at 290, an 1895 case, you'll see the standard is expressed in almost exactly the way the Georgia courts put it now. And that continues through a case called Hamling versus United States, 418 U.S. 87 at 117, a 1974 case. It really is the same language. And that really is what the federal courts are following here. That's, as I said, I've cited you a number of cases. I'll give you just one more before I sit down. And actually, I mentioned this in Johnson. The court went through it, and this was a challenge to an association in fact enterprise that was a street gang called the Block Boys. And they said, you haven't told us enough. That count was 15 pages, ours is 71. Court said it was adequate. It identifies the Block Boys as the criminal enterprise, establishes the time period during which they operated, named the co-conspirators, listed the violations that constituted predicates, said who performed each act and the date it was performed. That's precisely what we've done. There was an argument in that case that the indictment failed because it didn't tell the defendant exactly what activities conducted were part of the conspiracy's agreement. The court said this court has not required that a RICO indictment include such specificity, nor does the Constitution. We refuse to adopt Durden's offbeat position, was the language the Fifth Circuit used to dismiss that. So the argument that Dr. Eastman started making in his briefs fails. It doesn't work on Nexus, and it doesn't work on Boyle for the reasons I've said. The argument that he makes today is not in his briefs.
In recognizing that, and any initial reactions, just offhand, to this idea?
Well, the petition for right of grievance, or the petition, this is an issue that has people have alluded to it. Number one, it's not really his grievance; he's not the candidate. But number two, one thing that petitioning does not permit is any sort of lie, any sort of false statement. There is no protection for that. One doesn't get to speak to governmental officials, say something that's false, and then say, oh, but that's okay. I was petitioning for redress of grievances. The conversations with Vice President Pence and his closest advisors aren't for redress of grievances. They are asking him to break the law. And in fact, in one of the overt acts we set forth, we actually quote a communication from Dr. Eastman in which he says, and I am paraphrasing, these are not the exact words, he basically says, I'm asking you to violate the law one more time. Makes it abundantly clear. His position is the law has been violated. And then he is asking that it be violated again. That is not asking for redress of grievances. That is asking someone to violate the law. Those are not the same things, and there is no protection for that sort of behavior. The last point is, as Pasha, Quayle, and other cases that I have cited to you on numerous occasions make clear, the only argument that's been set forth here today goes to overt acts alleged against Dr. Eastman. That leaves 142, I believe, alleged against others. Under Pasha, he's responsible for all of those, and only one is sufficient to make out a RICO conspiracy violation under the express language of 1614 4C. And so even if he was right, it wouldn't matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Floyd. Mr. Parker, any final thoughts?
Just a few. I believe, although my good friend, Mr. Floyd, said he was paraphrasing Dr. Eastman in reference to conversation with the vice president. As I understand the conversation, Dr. Eastman had expressed his opinion that the Electoral Count Act itself was unconstitutional. And that was the reference to violating the law he was referring to, not complying with what he views from his perspective, the Electoral Count Act as being an unconstitutional act passed by Congress. I think what Mr. Floyd, on behalf of the state, really has crystallized in the argument, and it is going to come down to this. Just what are the facts when the states put forth its evidence? I will acknowledge that what he has said as a matter of law, by and large, is correct. And I stood here and I say to the court, I will be more than glad to join in with him in providing a joint appendix on indictments. We've worked together over the years. Many times we can work together in providing to the court those indictments that Mr. Floyd has identified that answer the courts or provide some insight for the court as to what is sufficient in the details as far as the allegations go. At the end of the day, it's going to be whether or not the state has met its burden in its proof at the trial compared to the allegations in the indictment. And so I agree to that. And with those words, I have nothing further than to say, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Parker. Since we have you here, I believe this was the only. Sure thing, Mr. Floyd.
The specific act, so we don't have to guess about what I was talking about. The specific act is 141, and I don't need to belabor what it says. The court can look at it itself. The language is quoted right there.
Okay.
For ease of reference, yeah.
All right. Well, while we have you here, Mr. Parker, and as well as your client, I believe other than adopted motions, this was the only other substantive one that we needed to address before, a case management conference whenever that day arrives. Do I have that right?
That's correct. We did file what I refer to as a placeholder Fourth Amendment motion dealing with two different, one, a search and seizure of Dr. Eastman's cell phone by the FBI. I believe that occurred in New Mexico. Is that correct? Yes, in New Mexico.
Right. And I'm remembering that one. I wonder if, since we're all here in the States here, maybe we could provide some clarity on that instead of having.
Yeah, because we haven't seen yet anything in discovery that would appear to come from that source. If the state does have it and they intend to use it, then that's an issue we sought to preserve.
Sure. Well, let's thank you for reminding me of that. Let's see. Maybe we can even address that today. Just to the state generally. Do you recall the preliminary kind of placeholder motion to suppress on the cell phone evidence? State have a position on that?
Yes, we haven't provided it because we don't have it.
And if the does the state have any leads or intentions or idea of where that could be, or when if they would obtain it at this point?
At this point, we don't.
All right. If that were to change, that would be something you'd have to disclose to the defense, would you not? All right. So,
And then the other one dealt with the litigation in federal court in California over the Chapman University files of Dr. Eastman. There are numerous emails. Some of those did make their way to the January 6th committee, which now have been disclosed, but many did not. And the reason we raised that as a placeholder is that the federal court in the California litigation, one, found Dr. Eastman had standing on as to those communications, and two, required that before any be disclosed to the J6 committee, they be reviewed by a taint team for attorney-client communications.
Well, Paul, Mayor
and
McCarthy's
whatnot,
really
'cause that
jealous and
was-
wants their duty box clean.
Even though on
It's a
some
lot.
attorney-client
I don't know, it's a lot of
communications, he found the
Eastman
crime
stuff right
fraud
now.
exception, the court, the district judge, did not make a across-the-board ruling on all communications that,
I like that.
that the
It's an
crime fraud
Eastman thing right
exception
now.
applied.
That's
So
my
Dr.
professional
Eastman,
assessment
licensed
of where we're at.
attorney, is still asserting that issue, should the state have any material that came forth from that source.
okay. All right. And so I'll put that same question to the state, but first, just again, as a matter of housekeeping, are we all on the same page that as it relates to the phone issue raised by Mr. Parker, that's effectively moot or not ripe at this point? I guess, Mr. Parker, I'll put that on you since it was your motion. Based on what you've heard the state say, is there anything to
But there's
handle?
nothing, what I've heard the state say is they have no material from the cell phone of Dr. Eastman that was seized by the FBI.
Right. And per our standing order, within 5 days of them obtaining any new evidence that they would intend to introduce at trial, that's supposed to make its way into your hands. All right. So that we should know if that ever comes up. All right.
I heard that.
Okay. So let's move on then. He raised the issue of some emails that were seized by the FBI at some point. Is that also something? It sounds like it hasn't made its way into discovery, or has it?
We haven't seen any documents that reflect the bait stamp of that Dr. Eastman uniquely placed on the Chapman University document, or that work. I don't know whether he did it, but someone did it. It's just that emanates from his employment at Chapman using a computer they owned and controlled that contained what the federal court found to be clearly attorney-client communications that Dr. Eastman had standing to assert the privilege over. And so in the federal court order, were we to have to litigate this issue, which we would provide to prove that the material had to be reviewed by a taint team before it could be disclosed. And so until we know that it's been disclosed and the state has it and the state intends to use it, we have no ability to litigate further.
Okay. Turning to the state. Does this ring a bell?
It does, Judge. We've disclosed everything that we have, but we do have a search warrant that relates to that. That's with the filter team now.
This is the issue. The search warrant came from a superior court judge of this court. We haven't litigated anything because let's set aside the issue of the extraterritorial authority of this court to issue a search warrant for materials in the state of California. You know, this search warrant from this court cannot obviate and supersede a United States district court's order as to how that material must be handled.
Okay. So I'm still trying to get up to speed on this and see where we are. Y'all are ahead of me because I don't know what's in discovery. So it sounds like the evidence that you're saying the state may introduce, they have actually got with a filter team right now pursuant to a search warrant obtained by a judge in Fulton County. Well, I don't think I signed that. You'd have to remind me. And you're still waiting on the results of that. Do you have a time frame for that?
The last conversation that we had with the filter team judge, he had they had not gotten to it yet. But we had some indication that they would make their way through any documents that they would have within a 3-week period. We can follow up.
All right, so there's a possibility the filter team gets through it. They disclose to you that there's nothing matching the criteria, and so there's really nothing that needs to be suppressed because you don't have anything, right? But in 3 weeks, maybe they do give you something that's exactly along the lines of what Mr. Parker is identifying as in his contention, having some legal issues that we need to sort through. Okay. All right. So then it sounds like we'll have a better idea of that later next month and whether we need to come back on an evidentiary hearing on that. And once we've identified that, Mr. Parker, if you could just, particularize your motion and supplement it, and we'll get it scheduled.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Okay. Good to know. And if after a month you haven't heard anything from the state or the filter team, let's ask for an update from the state and try to hold them to that deadline.
Be glad to do that, Your Honor.
Okay. Was there anything else?
Nothing further on behalf of Dr. Eastman.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else from the state then?
Jesus Christ.
All right. And I think there'd been some other attorneys just generally jumping on the Zoom. They weren't noticed to be argued on anything, but I'll kind of open the floor to any other business since we have this state here. Not hearing anything. We'll transition over to Mr. Floyd. Thank you all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
There's a little Johnny Eastman. He's broken all the laws. He's gonna go to prison. 'Cause he's got a lot of flaws. There goes little Johnny Eastman. He's going to listen for Jeffy Clark. Don't you think? I don't know. I'm not trying to be a bitch here, but I'm just saying, can we please FFS figure our shit out? And by the way, the internet has gone insane. All of the people on the internet have gone insane. So look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. And yeah, boy, some people have really big balls too. It's amazing. For having such little balls, they have big balls, if you know.
All right, let's transition over. Same case number, but this is State
You are
versus Harrison
extraordinary.
Floyd.
You're
and we
extraordinarily
are
ordinary.
back together from
Extraordinarily.
the last time we had a
ordinarily-
hearing on this. I
except for
believe was
those
in
large
November,
balls.
if I'm not mistaken. And this is on the
That's funny.
motions to
That's fun.
quash, as well as tangentially the motion on seal. I believe the
Watch in
election
the
materials filed back in
name of
September.
Floyd
And let me just
before
kind of
brave
try to lay out
Lord.
where we are, and I'll let the
Gosh.
parties jump in to supplement as they see it. But I believe where we had left it is we had heard some initial argument from on behalf of the clerk of Superior Court and on behalf of Fulton County Board of Elections that not only in their contention were these materials not relevant, but that would be unduly oppressive or burdensome to produce them. And so I took under the advisement the relevance issue, and I think that I don't know if that's necessarily something we need to get into further today, but the overriding focus was that exactly what it would take to produce these materials. And after that hearing back in November, we had Mr. Floyd's team come back with an amended subpoena request. Was that ever made a part of the record? Well, actually, first let me do this. We need to identify counsel for the record and waive your client's presence.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Christopher Kachuroff for Mr. Floyd and my co-counsel.
Todd Harding, Your Honor.
Aaron McCullough, Your Honor.
And Mr. Floyd has given you his express permission to proceed without him?
Yes, sir, he has.
All right. And on behalf of the county?
Good afternoon, Judge. Chad Alexis on behalf of the clerk.
Okay. And Mr. Alexis, just for the benefit of our court reporter, if you could really make sure to speak up and into a microphone. Medically, are you able to proceed today?
Please, Judge.
Okay. All right. And who else do we have?
David Loman, Your Honor.
Can you spell that for the court reporter?
Last name is Loman, Lowman. First name David.
All right. Thank you. Okay. And so back to Floyd's team here. Did we ever make the amended subpoena part of the record, or has it been up to this point? Just want to make sure everything's complete.
Not quite sure, Judge. I apologize.
We'll make it so if it hasn't been. But then to continue kind of the prologue here is that we received a response back from Fulton County, kind of point by point, saying how many man hours it would take to comply. And it was substantial. And in the thousands, if not, I think tens of thousands of hours.
He has a mouse.
57,000 hours
Got it.
on some of these issues.
sounds
And
sick.
so I think where we left it is very much that we have contested issues of fact. I don't know if these are going to be solved by way of proffer. And so I think at this point, well, let me start there. Anything we need to add before we get into it in terms of the lay of the land? Let me start with, I'll start with Mr. Kachuroff just because you're standing up here.
Let's go.
I would propose that we go through them. Some we can go through pretty quickly. Some I can agree with.
I did see
I'm
that.
not going to nitpick over an hour here.
I
or
don't
2
know.
hours
I
there.
just
And I think I can add some clarity to
think
why
that people handling
there's no
the
need
arms
to put
fire
37 years of
to blame.
manpower
Alex an idiot.
into what should have been done in one day on November 3rd, 2020.
Okay. So at this point, you think we can still just kind of go through this in almost a mediation style? We don't need to have a witness here telling you exactly how something's produced and the manner?
I agree, because a lot of this stuff, believe it or not, I have served as the basis for our response to the motion of Quash, which were open records requests, but some open records requests have certifications, others don't. And I think that I can add clarity to each
Very
of the
true.
requests and their corresponding time estimates and why their time estimates are incorrect. And I think it'll make sense to the court.
Okay. Well, I'll do it. I'm optimistic that that's the case. I will say the caveat is I don't know the nuances of how ballots are collected and counted, and I think you have done you're studying on these things. So for me to grasp exactly how these are collected and the processes behind them, we may need to lay out more so we can really understand that. But we'll see how we go. Mr. Alexis?
Judge, I just want to put on the record that we are not a party to this case. We're just here to address the subpoena. We don't have a dog in the fight. Aside from the relevance issue, our only contention is that this is burdensome and oppressive. We're in the middle of a federal election. To that end, Judge, we do have 2 witnesses here who the court can make inquiries to, but I do agree that a mediation style approach may be best because, again, as non-parties, I'd hate to subject my clients to being grilled and cross-examined.
And who are those 2 witnesses you'd have?
We have Mariska Bodison and Derek Gilstrap, and Your Honor, ordinarily we would have our directors and leadership come in and testify, but again, we are preparing for a federal election.
Sure.
I can have them stand and introduce themselves.
I think for now, if you could just let me know what their respective titles are and what they would be testifying to generally.
Adler. I get shaky on their titles. Let me just.
Or just generally what their job roles are, why they're here, why they have the expertise.
Mr. Gilstrap is in IT. He does the tech part of elections department, and Ms. Bodison, she's the executive assistant to the BRE and for the elections department.
Okay. All right. So turning to the amended subpoena with the additions provided by Fulton County with the time estimates. And page 3, we have items to be produced. Mr. Kachuroff, I think you offered to kind of just take the lead on this, I'll just let you have the floor.
So for the first item, user manuals, 4 hours. No disagreement. The issue there is, I talked to my colleague ahead of time before the hearing, trying to work some of the things out. Probably should have talked more with him. But he said those are in a warehouse in a box. And so they have to spend time to go get them. I suggested, well, maybe Dominion can provide those user manuals that were in use at the time via PDF. The option was, well, you can subpoena Dominion. Well, I didn't want to do that because if I subpoena Dominion, then the response might be, well, those weren't the ones that we had. So I was hoping that we could
I guess
short
it's a
circuit some of
dumb
this. So, I mean,
argument
some of it is what it is. I'm not going to argue about number one. Number two, an election equipment inventory. They should have a list of these things. I don't understand why it would take 24 hours to pull up lists with all of the
Because people
different
don't sit around
machines
waiting
and
for you
what the
schmucks.
serial numbers are in the machines. You would think that there is an inventory somewhere in a file. We're looking for digital production. I'm not looking for new copies of what was in existence in 2020.
What if, this is where we might have to pause. I'm reminded of the open record standard, which is they're not obligated to go out and create documents for you. If they're going to sit here and testify today, is that they don't keep that list and that they would have
Yeah,
to go
that's-
around and actually make you a list. What happens then?
If that's what the answer is, the response, they don't go around keeping the list, then they don't go around keeping the list. I accept the response. But I just want to know what they have and what they don't have.
All right, well, let's start there. Item 2 on the items to be produced.
Your Honor, if it might be easier for my colleague and myself, you want me to
You can just
argue from-
remain seated. That's fine. Just make sure you get that microphone very close to your mouth.
Okay.
Your Honor, I beg the court's indulgence to issue a writ of, I think that was a good one.
Was this the one that you said was the overnight stuff?
Oh, you
Okay.
be
I-
home.
Judge, a lot of these, a lot of this information is in hard copy. Well, pursuant to election code, it was submitted to the clerk, and it is in that warehouse that opposing counsel just mentioned. So to actually go and get this information would require employees to go to the warehouse and rummage through the boxes and pallets to try to find the information that's needed. And from what I understand, we're looking at about 100 pallets with maybe 30 to 45 boxes per pallet. And because they've been moved so many times, there's no way to determine
I
what
don't think I
sort
would
of,
go too deeply
I guess,
into
format
how
they're in.
organized
They're
that
not arranged in a
warehouse
particular
is.
order. So for us to
like-
actually go find it, it wouldn't take 5 minutes, Judge. And that's why we put the 24-hour time period on it.
And it sounds like that's a similar process to what you were going to need to do for user manuals. So why the difference between the 4 hours and the 24 hours?
Well, I think it's because we're looking for more information in number 2 as opposed to 1.
Okay. And Mr. Kucherov, feel free to respond to that. But I'm also wondering too, I guess, as we go along through here, accepting for today, Mr. Floyd's relevance solely for discovery purposes. We're not saying that this could potentially be relevant at trial. That's another bridge to cross when we get there. Why is this particular aspect of your request relevant to essentially auditing the election?
Because part of the audit process requires taking the inventory of the system that created, for instance, the poll tabulator tape. It shows you security. Is the election secure? Were the machines that were said to be used
That was
actually used?
huge.
And it's a way
That's
to
where it
match
is,
up
actually. It's right
serial
by
numbers
our
from
covenant.
machines and devices to other types of reports.
All right, so once you've got serial numbers for all these devices, you're saying you can then compare that to something else?
A number of things. For instance, the logic and accuracy testing to see which equipment was tested and which equipment was not.
Poor guy is so sick. And the guy sitting next to him is like, I'm going to get really sick. after
Okay,
today."
and more to, in response to what he added.
I'm not going to argue about the 24 hours. If they think that's their time estimate and it's in the warehouse, I get it. So 1 and 2.
All right, and we'll move on to number 3. We've got 688 hours listed for, I guess this is still part of item 2, rather. 688 hours for election equipment with test results. And this is all the tabulators and.
Actually, Your Honor, it's the logic and accuracy testing. We're literally looking for the test results for all the things that have serial numbers. So I would think that they could all be
What if
produced
that's
together.
proprietary?
I mean, I don't know how they keep it in
What
the
if that's
boxes, whether they
fucking
haphazardly throw
proprietary?
them in the boxes with ballots. I would
Uh,
think
I'm
there'd be
saying
some,
it is.
just
I'm
a
just
couple
saying,
ballots,
what if it
or
is?
a couple boxes that have administrative items in them that they could pull from.
Okay, so what can you tell us about the logic and accuracy testing results?
So the bulk of these hours come from the poll tapes, and we're looking at about 656 open tapes and 656 closed tapes. And each tape is about 12 feet long. Of course, if we're handing over information that, or I guess documents that they would produce in evidence, we'd give them a copy. So for us to actually copy the tapes, we'd have to put them on the printer piece
Well,
by
we've already,
piece.
y'all have already surpassed what I'd warned you about, which is when you say tape, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm thinking
Okay.
videotape. I don't know.
Oh, you want to explain what the poll tape is?
It's a tape produced by the scanner, a scanner tape that's produced when we do
This
our
is Mr. Lohman.
LNA testing.
Oh, actually, this person hasn't identified themselves for the
Okay.
I'm
record.
sorry.
My name is Jerry Gilstrap. I'm
Okay.
election system supervisor.
All right, great.
Fulton
And
County.
you were explaining to us what it means to have a poll tape. What produces it and what's it look like and all of that.
The poll tape is produced from our scanners, our tabulators. They produce the poll tape once we run the ballots from our LNA testing through the scanner. It produces a tape of all the results from those ballots.
So it's not it's not like a digital file. I'm picturing a movie reel. Is it something like that? Like a old, like a wound tape on a wheel? Again,
It's just like a calculator roll of tape. It's like like you have
It's
a cash
like a
register and the tape
receipt.
produces once you
It's like a receipt.
buy something.
so
It's
that
a
does sound like something. It's not.
receipt.
They're just picking up and
Lord in heaven.
copying it on a hard drive. This is something physical that they have to then make into another format, and that takes time.
That's true, but 688, I don't think it's 688 hours. And the reason why I say that is because a
I'm
Fulton
telling
Records,
you,
an open records request dated
yep.
December the 1st,
I had to
2021,
too.
provided tabulator
Feel
poll tapes
terrible. He
for
probably
the
feels
11/3/2020 election, including those that were used for advanced voting and logic and accuracy
I can't
testing.
believe he's the
So
only.
they actually should have these
person.
scans already done, first of all. And I think that would be, and I've got the open records request number.
Sure. Let's start there. Has this already been produced in some format to somebody?
I can't speak to that, Judge. I really can't. If it has, I can
Excuse
go
me.
look at it, but I can
You
tell
don't
you
know
what
the
the process
status?
is.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought it was
And
the defense saying that.
we got this number based on what they have done in the past when they had to give the information to, let's say, the SOS. And basically you put it on the printer and you print each portion of it. And because it's 12 feet long, you have to close the copier,
Oh
open
my
it, move it to the side, close the copier, open it, move it to the side. And that takes about 30 minutes per tape. So if you have 656 tapes
Forget it.
and you're printing and you're
These
doing
poor folks.
30 minutes per tape, Judge,
We have to argue
and
this.
you're doing that for
ridiculous
open and closed
stuff.
tapes, you're looking at 656 hours.
And let me add to this. We're actually looking, if you read one of the things we're looking for is the actual LNA report itself. It has the testing results on it. And that should not require more than a couple of hours to copy that. I mean, I don't understand how we get 688 hours. I don't even know what the poll tapes are, and they're 12 feet long, but it doesn't take
Well,
30
maybe you're
minutes to
dumb.
copy a 12-foot
Oh,
long
don't do
receipt,
that.
essentially.
Don't do that.
So I
Don't
don't
say
think
what it takes
688
to
hours
copy something.
is
Lawyer dude.
appropriate. And I will remind the court, Mr. Floyd is looking at 37 years. And they're claiming it's going to take more time than the amount of
Then
jail
don't
sentence that he's faced with
time. How
at
about
this point.
that?
So I don't,
What-
all
what-
this should have been done on November 3rd.
What are the total number of roles that are
And has 6 Sigma.
at issue here, and
I
to
need someone
satisfy
who's
this,
Sigma.
how many pull tape roles are there total?
656 open and 656 close.
And how does one get open and how does one get closed?
No, well, they're one's called an open tape and one's called a closed tape. So they do the open tape at the beginning of the election and they do the closed tape at the end of the election.
And the subpoena asks for both.
Yes,
You said it was 656 open and how many are closed?
and 656. as well.
Okay. And each of these are 12 feet long?
Yeah, about 12 feet long. Yeah.
So there's only over 12,000 of, excuse me, not 12,000, 1,200 of these that they'd have to be copying.
I can buy the scanner for the county. Scanner will cost me about $400 and I'll have each one be scanned in about a minute.
The county will appreciate that.
Okay? If that's gonna be the solution, sold.
Well, so there's a special scanner that you don't have to then do each foot by foot by foot,
Not that I'm aware of, Judge. I
but
don't.
you have one?
Yes, Your Honor, we can supply one.
Okay, well, again, I think these are things that the two of y'all know more about this than I do. I don't know what value I'm adding to this, but we can keep going in this manner. It sounds like, again, something that could have been solved through an email.
I'll make this easier for my colleague. I know we talked about this earlier. 4, 5, 6.
Nobody has a scanner. Nobody has
I should say-
scanners.
Requests 4 through 11,
1666.
and there's no argument on.
1666 Sigma.
Does that include, just because since I see the labeling, there was a 3 on the top of page 4.
It's the slight Sigma. It's very.
No, that was the LNA testing.
small Sigma.
That was part of the LNA testing.
It was
What I'll do is I will provide a
That's good.
scanner for the county, but I want it back.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm accounting this right. So the top of page 4, there's labeled paragraph 3 underneath election certification packet.
Yes, yes.
I'm looking at the amended subpoena. Are we on the same page?
I think so. I have so the election certification packet section,
Okay, yeah.
the election night reporting webpage, the chain of custody, no disagreement.
Okay.
The ballot images, which is the next section, I do quibble with that because they already have it in a zip file.
Granted,
They
we
sent
did.
all this stuff. I'm
We
sure
didn't
they sent
lose
this
the
stuff
feed. I just went
the
to
SOS.
Twitter and it's fine.
Secretary of State.
So
So I
I
don't
know
understand why
it's happening
24
for
hours,
you.
when
Sorry
they
about
don't
that.
need 24 hours to look, unless they have to go look for it.
Come over
But
to.
I would think that that's on a computer hard drive or something.
Over to
that they can just
YouTube.
Zip to another.
Okay,
Their
so
images, they have to be copied.
So moving on, we're now on the bottom of page 4 of the
Here,
amended subpoena
sorry.
with responses, ballot
Yeah.
images, where I think
Ooh,
the county had replied back 24 hours. Any
Bill
insight
Fox
on
is
that?
going to be so busy this summer. I might have to send him some cookies.
Okay, so Judge, in review of this
Check
request,
out this link.
we
from
did
Gal.
state it as 24 hours, but it should have been more an
Granted, this
overnight
is Georgia
run, and that's
County.
because we actually have to,
Motion to
I guess,
quash.
fire the system up and let it run overnight. So it's supposed to be a 1-day turnaround.
Harrison
But
Floyd.
it ended up getting logged in as 24 hours.
Okay, so I think what we actually need to reflect is the man hours, because that's what they're going to have to cut you a check for, right?
Man,
So what are the man hours to get the ballot images to you?
I'm gonna spend all summer with him. Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you're back. But thanks for the
And
heads up.
Judge, we can't run
Thanks.
both systems at the same time, the original count and the recount.
Thanks,
So it'll have to be
Brandon.
done separately, and that's,
Cute kitty.
I mean, we do it overnight one day and then overnight the next day.
Yeah, and I don't think the time's so much our focus as what the man hours are and how much, they owe you.
Okay, can I confer?
Well, Kathy, I don't think he had very nice things to say about you either, dear. He's not even there today. That's how much he doesn't like you, Kathy. Mr. Floyd decided not to even show up. Because he said, if that Kathy girl, if she's going to be in that Lolo girl's feed, I'm not coming. He's Sunny Bunny. Oh, well. You're Sunny Bunny. I have two very sleepy
Oh,
orange cats. One's right behind my.
Judge,
one's
the actual work itself, 2 hours, and then it'll just be a matter of the system populating the information
You got a
overnight.
reputation, girl.
All right, so ballot initiatives revised estimate of 2 hours.
You
Any
J6ers,
issues with that,
they
Mr.
don't
Chair?
like you.
Okay, seeing none for the record. Moving on,
Ballet
tabulator files and
energetic.
reports.
Did anyone see
The
that?
heading,
Ballet
this is
energetic.
listing 2,866 hours. I think mainly because it's saying it doesn't exist in the format requested.
I'm saying.
Any initial reactions to that?
So would that be 1 hour? Judge, we made a few modifications on this as well.
Okay,
Wait, what did I
So
just
for
say?
14,
Ballet.
14A, we don't have the information requested in that format.
What was it?
14B, it will be much like the last one we just discussed, wherein the system will have to be fired up and run overnight. So that's why we have the 8 hours. Now, the man hours itself would probably be an hour. As for 14C, we're looking at, because we have the open poll tapes, the status tapes, and the closed
What's that
tapes,
word? Ballet.
we're looking at 1968 tapes. Are these the same open and closed from the first one?
No, that's LNA tapes.
Oh, the LNA tapes. Okay. So we're looking at 1,968 tapes, and at 30 minutes per tape,
Oh,
that's
please.
984 hours.
Stop asking for this ridiculous bullshit.
this
Just
is the same
delay.
issue as before, that the bulk of
Harrison
this
Floyd
time
is
is
trying to
because
delay.
of
Now,
scanner
granted, I
limitations.
want everyone
Yes.
to have all the due process.
All right,
Really do.
and
I
so
want
potentially
everyone
that
to
is
have
going
due
to be
process.
dramatically lessened if you have better
100%.
equipment.
I mean, if
This to
this
me feels
equipment
like
exists, yeah, I will agree with that. I mean, and one thing I just want to, I guess, keep in the court's air is that we do still have to go in the warehouse and locate this stuff. So,
Right. Well, I mean, that's reflected in
okay.
the hours. I don't think we can quibble with that, but
Okay. And as for number 15, we will have to contact knowing to get that information. And once we do that, we're on knowing's time. For the
can you say that again, the what time?
knowing, that's the vendor. I'm sorry, Judge.
So is this something that's not even in your possession?
It's not.
Then I don't see how you could respond to that subpoena.
All right.
Ron, we couldn't probably get the material without permission from the county to obtain it from where, you said knowing?
Knowing, yes.
Well, I think a vendor would have to respond to a court
No,
order for a
no.
subpoena.
So
Right,
basically,
so
this is bullshit.
Well, I'm
These
gonna go ahead and set a
defense
subpoena
lawyers
for,
have
that's
filed
the
frivolous
tabulator poll closing
bullshit.
tapes?
Number 15.
My numbering is off, I'm sorry.
Copies of all tabulated poll closing reports and tabulated reports generated by each precinct and polling location.
Yes, okay.
Got it?
You need to make sure you're talking to the microphone. Our court reporter's having some trouble. And just I'll just state this for the record, any conversations between counsel, we're not going to have those on the record. Okay? So, you were going down the list here. I think you still had, it sounds like bottom line for the entire section listed tabulator files and reports, where originally the estimate was 2,866 hours. That's largely driven by copying limitations that may be remedied through upgraded equipment. Is that fair?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so we'll flag that. I think where we're getting with this is, assuming we can make it through all this, is that the parties are going to need to, again, I would direct them to confer once more, and I'll need an updated and revised time estimate within a week or two. We'll talk more about how much time that's going to take. All right. Election management system, EMS. County's estimate was 72 hours. Is there concern with that from Mr. Floyd?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Backup copies of hard drives,
No,
SD
right at
drives,
the
and
beginning
USB
of the
drives.
stream,
County
Paul.
estimated 16 hours. Any concerns
Black
there?
Book quit. It quit on me. What's stupid?
Which number, Judge, my numbering is off, I'm sorry.
And so I tried to start just looking at headings now instead
Yeah,
of the numbers.
backup copies of hard drives.
Right.
I don't think
No ink in the
county-
corner or in
maybe
the copy.
county can elucidate on this.
It said,
Sex balls.
They didn't have the
Sorry.
original format was not an in-case format. And maybe since our tech guy is here, when we say in case format, we're basically talking about a
Law.
forensic image,
You
which is
got
a standard in the industry. And that copies
I want you to
everything
have
on a hard drive, including the
But
empty
I'm not gonna
spaces
have you
without
copy
impacting the
this
integrity of the
election.
drive. It's a mirror.
and think about trying to
Yes,
place
Your Honor, we cannot
your
produce
two
those.
twins.
We cannot produce, we're not able to produce those
In that format.
in that format.
And why not?
Basically, our system will not allow us to produce those. I mean, they may be able to get that from Dominion
Or
or
even
the Secretary of State. They may be able to produce those, but we cannot produce those.
All right, but in the format that you could produce them in, was that part of the estimate?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
well, so but if you got them from the vendor,
All right, with that proffer,
I'm
Uh,
sorry, I didn't hear the last part, Your Honor.
he was saying that they can produce them, but it has to be in a different format, and that's what accounts for the 16 hours.
I mean, if that's what they have,
These
the
are-
original 16 hours in the format, without making an image of the actual drive, I'll take it.
All right, moving on, reports and
they're
logs,
talking
they
about
list
team
4 hours for
reports,
that.
Kathy, as
Objection.
well as voter
And
records,
then we have
the poll tape.
lists of several items.
It's bad. It's not
No
good.
objection.
Okay, and that's,
And
they say number
more
25 through
grimy.
41 for 24 hours to produce that. We have oath documents, which they say will take 6 to 8 hours to produce.
I don't want, like I said, I don't try not to be picky, but 6 to 8 hours for documents that basically show somebody took an oath. I don't maybe I misunderstand, but it seems that that's a pretty quick one in a folder.
Are those all kept in the same place, or are those scattered about?
Warehouse, Judge.
So it's in the warehouse. Are these boxes labeled, or they just,
I can't speak to what the format of the boxes are right now, but from what I understand, they're not in a properly identifiable order.
well, that leads me to have less confidence in these estimates of if we have no idea where they are in the warehouse or the status of them or the state they're in, how did we ever arrive at 6 to 8 hours to begin with?
Well, Judge, we're trying to give conservative estimates because we do want to work with whomever. You know, again, we don't have a dog in the fight. You know, we just believe that if we, I guess, did a diligent search, that we can come up with this information within that time period.
no,
I do say, hey, it's
answer actually
about
is
90
that
to
he
100
doesn't
pallets,
control
but
what
again,
the
it's still
vendor
only
or
90 to 100
how
pallets, so
the
6 8 hours
the
may work.
the indexing system at the warehousing location.
And again, I'm trying to draw on kind of open
Someone will
records
have to figure that out.
experience
Go pull
where
it and do all that stuff.
often
So
in
there is
response,
a
you
proper
give an
answer
estimate.
to this. That wasn't it.
And if it's
But
actually
there
less
is
time
an
is spent, the ultimate bill is less, right?
Correct.
Or you get halfway through and you start warning the other side, hey, it's actually going to be higher than we thought. Do you want us to keep going? I think that's what we're going to have to do on this as well. And we can do this in stages. And, but I also think part of this is going to have to be paid up front. We can get into all these things. I think these are some things that the parties can negotiate and get back to me on. But I just want to flag these issues for y'all. It sounds like that's something that on the oath documents, let's take another closer look at that in terms of what we think the state of the warehouse is, and actually how long it takes to drive over there and find that box, if they're all in the same box.
Okay.
Okay, signatures, absentee ballots,
Yeah,
envelopes.
Envelopes, yes, Your Honor. So we're looking for the outer part of the envelope. The estimate was 57,000 hours. And I think maybe,
Well, we started, I think I know that's the heart of it, but let's start with, I think paragraph 43 says the outer, I'm trying to make sense of this. Under the heading, I've got 72 hours unredacted, 150 hours redacted. Is that in reference to something different than the 5,700 hours, 57,000 hours?
Yeah, so the the signature exemplars, that's the 57,000 hours, and the absentee ballot envelopes, that's the 72 hours.
Okay, let's start with the envelopes. And remind me what would be redacted if they are redacted, what would be unredacted?
Okay, do you want to explain envelopes?
And if you could identify yourself for the record.
Yes, sir. Mariska Bodison. the executive assistant and the board director, the board
Okay.
secretary, excuse me.
And so, what needs to be redacted off these that effectively doubles the time to produce them?
On the
I feel
oath
like this is
envelope,
just delay
there is
on his behalf.
the date of birth.
Okay.
I couldn't hear. I'm sorry, Your
The
Honor.
date of birth.
Oh, date of birth.
And Judge, if I can just give an explanation as to the redaction process. So usually when we make a copy of something, we take a magic marker, we strike through. But usually if you hold that paper to the light, you can still see some of the information. So what happens is that we have to then make another copy and possibly redact again. And that's what causes the extra time.
Because your plan is to produce these in physical form. You're not just going to send them in a PDF.
Well, the envelopes themselves,
I'm not.
they are in a physical format, and you actually have to do them one by one because they're used envelopes. So if you try to scan them in batches, they will just jam in the printer.
Okay.
Well,
What do you think,
that makes
Mr.
sense, I guess.
Yes, so I.
You wouldn't have
this is where
necessarily
I think I can short
scanned
circuit
the
this tremendously.
envelopes,
I think
I guess.
my understanding from talking with my colleague earlier is that the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine was not operational. So I didn't really want new scanned images. I wanted the existing scanned images that were done on November 3rd for purposes of signature verification. So my
What?
understanding is that did not occur because the Blue Crest verification machine was not working.
So are
for
you
the
trying
2020
to
general.
prove your case or something, counselor?
Judge, I'm not commenting on
You go this way, it takes you the short way. Yeah.
All right, we've got someone.
Hey, someone's has a
Do
hot
we know
mic.
who that is?
Do we know who that is? Who has the hot mic?
Okay. Mr. Alexis.
I'm not commenting on whether or not the Blue Crest
is a
machines
real
were working. We didn't use the Blue Crest machines at that time period.
Okay, so if the subpoena as intended by Mr. Floyd is for the any images produced by this machine on this date,
Yes.
your
Point.
response
However,
is
actual
you don't have any in your possession.
envelopes relevant.
That's correct, Judge.
evidence in this
So,
trial.
so they're
They are not. Good answer.
Go ahead. Can you
They are
Give me a
not.
second, Your Honor.
He is not going to prove that somehow things didn't get properly adjudicated.
No, I heard you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Floyd. You are not in possession of any data that substantiates.
So I can have my tech guy appear on site under their tech supervision. He can write a script. that
Oh,
can-
no.
Once we
No,
scan
no,
all the
no,
files.
no, no,
he can
That's
have
not
a
what we
script
do.
that
No, we don't
automatically
do
blocks
that.
out the date of birth. That is the
Nope,
PII.
we don't do
under
that.
the law.
We don't do
Well,
that.
we still have to
Well,
scan.
we're jumping back
And
in time to the envelopes.
problem
So on
solving.
the envelopes, you're saying that you
something
think you
we
have a
don't
more
need to
efficient
problem
way to
solve on.
redact them.
Correct. I have a more efficient way, but my colleague is saying that they didn't do signature verification using the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine.
Correct.
Okay. And so
Is that solely the 57,000 hours estimate?
I'm sorry. Are we on to the next one?
Oh, we hadn't gotten there. Okay, we're still just on the 150 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that where the Blue Crest becomes relevant? I'm looking at Mr. Floyd's team.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your Honor, the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine would take the ballot envelope and scan it and create an image of it. Image appears on screen with a signature exemplar, and the two are compared that way.
Okay.
So my understanding is now the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine was not working or
No, we didn't use it.
They did not use that.
not use it.
We did
So
not
for the
use it.
item you're requesting to obtain for the scans of all the outer envelopes, they would have to rescan those again, is what we're hearing.
Well, it sounds like they were never scanned to begin with, and so I don't know, unless
So
they were scanned, I want the scanned version
Right.
that they had on that day.
So are there
So
any
what we're saying, sir,
are there any documents
scanned.
in the county's possession
Sir.
of these items having already been scanned?
that's what we're saying.
Not that I'm aware of, but I can check at headquarters and see if they do have it.
Okay, so the difference here is not so much that
This could have
there's a
been
total new rescanning. It's what was scanned and is still in your possession from that date.
Well,
Are we making the distinction here?
Nothing was scanned, Your Honor.
Okay. So we're absolutely clear. We're talking about the outer return envelopes in November 2020. Okay. So where does that leave
wasn't
your
even their
subpoena
procedure.
request?
So why did
I
we
think, Your
even have
Honor,
this
if we
conversation?
can put that to the side, like that's as an item for me to work out with the county. So I understand exactly, because I was under the impression that they had a sorting machine that did all that. So if that signature verification process
It's
was not
real
used,
life works.
I just
This
want to be able to
isn't
see
Jetsons,
what,
sir.
so I can,
Sit
when we
down.
do our audit, we can look at it and say, okay, this is what was done. And I'll see whether I actually need those or not. I'm not sure at this point.
All right. Takes us on, does this now take us to the signature exemplars and reference images, or is that the same thing?
This takes us
I'll
to that
never
new
get that
section,
17
Judge.
minutes back.
The signature exemplars is under the same section,
Same issue.
same image, yeah, but no, it's a different image. It's a separate image from the ballot envelope image. One is signed on the back.
They-
Okay.
And they use that. So,
Oh my
So this
God.
whole section,
I-
you're setting that
This is
aside.
what I would like
for
to
now.
address,
I'm setting
Kathy.
that aside.
Okay, then that takes us to absentee ballot application
That's
forms.
what I would like. to
Actually, no, I'm sorry.
address.
I apologize. We do want 45, or number 44, the provide all signature exemplars
Yeah.
and
they
reference
did, Karen.
images for all registered
You're
voters.
absolutely correct.
Okay, so that is the 57,000
They
hour
adjudicated it or they
response.
audited it
And
3 times.
Actually, Judge, it's just the signature exemplars. Those are digital. That should be
Probably the
another
best
copying of
looked at
a digital file,
election in the
massive file.
history of
So,
elections.
Judge, we do not have a file
no
of
election
simply
fraud.
signatures.
No fraud.
We
like
actually
you're
have
describing.
them
And I'll
in
tell you right
different
now,
databases
no
for
chud can
different
actually tell me
voters.
what they
And we're
actually
looking at
describe.
860,000 voters.
dumb.
And we have 2 different systems that we have to look in to ensure that we do find the signature, because if it's not in one, it could be in the other. So at 860,000,
This
unless
really seems irrelevant.
conservatively say
I'm
we can
sorry.
check each system in 2 minutes,
Very
we're looking
strong
at 4
with this.
minutes per. So 860,000 multiplied by 4 minutes gives us 3 million plus minutes. You divide that by 60.
okay, a lot of
That's
time. So what is it
50
that you're doing in those 4 minutes exactly per voter?
We're going to check one system to see if we can find the signature. And if it's not there, we'll check the other system.
And why do we need to check either system? Why not just have both if we
Why
think
not
they're in
just-
there somewhere?
I'm not following.
I'm not.
So
following.
as I'm understanding it, there's
Always
just
talking
a
about
general database that has all these signatures in it.
Well,
Why do we need to cross-reference them?
No, it's not a database of signatures.
a
We actually have
database
to
of
go into
signatures. Even
the,
I know
the
this.
database and find the voter and look at the information and search through and find the signature wherever it may fall. And then when we get that,
Exactly.
we,
The people who
I
can
guess,
vote loud
export it
about elections
somewhere,
have
have
no
it
idea how
printed.
elections
And
actually
if it's not in that database, we go
election worker
look in the other
is-
database to find it.
Good point, Kathy.
Next one.
So essentially you have a database with each voter as its own folder or file in some way. And to go in and pull out the
Is this
signature
testimony?
image, that's what's taking the time.
Is this testimony?
Yes, sir. So for each voter, I would have to put in your driver's license number or your voter registration number. I then have to go to your profile to see if you actually have a signature on file. If in the registration database, Georgia's registration database, you don't have a signature on file, we have an in-house electronic database that we scan documents into, and we check that. There are no guarantees that we'll have all 860,000 signatures. The hope is that we will.
We're not looking for 860,000. We're only looking for the absentee ballot signatures at this point.
We
That-
said all registered voters in
Yeah.
your request.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on number 4.
On which one?
Let me
Well, I thought we'd
one-
moved on to 44.
Holy
You
shit.
said 43 was, you needed to double check about the
Your Honor, I moved to strike. What do you mean strike?
machines
I
and the
mean
signature
strike.
verification
I'm
on it.
really-
We were looking at 44. That's the 57,000 hour request.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, so 44 and 45, if I can put that to the side to talk, I think I can work that out with them.
Then why are we
So I
here?
understand the process. I don't want to
Absolutely.
delay this anymore. I think we can get through that.
Okay.
And I can work with the county's IT person and my colleague and get a solution for both
Why
of
didn't you
those
do that before
together.
this? You had like months.
Okay.
Because maybe I just need a certification from the county that we didn't do signature verification.
Well, I don't know if you're ever going to get a
No.
certification because
No.
I don't know if that's
No, you
allowed through the
don't.
subpoena process. I mean, you could always
No,
call
bitch.
them as a
No,
witness,
bitch.
or if they want to voluntarily give you a certification, great. But again,
No.
what is
What are we
being asked of
doing?
this
What are we
court is whether to
doing?
enforce the subpoena, and that's
I
what I'm trying to
object.
focus on. And that is whether documents are in their possession
Judge
or whether they're
McAfee,
not.
I object.
And I think that's taking us
Your Honor.
closer to the end. The last thing we have is hardware and networking with 32 hours of work.
They aren't.
We
of
skipped
this
one, I
is
believe,
right.
Judge, the absentee ballot application.
Oh, well, I thought you said 45. I think that's about our numbering being off again.
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
sorry,
so
Judge.
absentee ballot application form, 10,000 hours redacted.
Yeah, I can have my tech guy show up and write a script that automatically redacts it, and you can hold it up to the light all day long, and you won't see the date of birth.
The
The
DC
only thing on
Bar
it, and I have a
is
2020
huge.
application
Wait,
here.
who was
The only
it?
thing
All of
on it
those lawyers.
that is
right?
PII is a
Gotta go back to that.
one line that says date of birth. So
Okay, if I could get the county to walk me through
Hey,
their thought process here.
Just walking
So
down the
on
street.
the application from 2020, there is the date of birth, their email address, their phone number.
Oops.
Yeah, so there's actually multiple areas that you're required to redact.
Your Honor, under Georgia law, the only PII is the date of birth.
Shut up.
Nothing else is
Nobody
PII.
wants you.
Now, we don't intend to go
Nobody
publish this.
likes
We're not
you.
going to publish this. This is for our,
Give me a
I mean,
break.
there'd be a protective
You guys
order no
are-
matter what we
you're
do with
representing
this.
criminals, sir.
How, and then we can go into the details of what that would look like. I think we've already expected here that the parties need to continue their conversations. Here's what I would ask to add to the agenda is that you'd be outlining exactly to the county the process and how you're planning to review this, who would be involved. And then I'll let the county make the initial decision of whether they think that's adequately protecting the date of birth, if that's something we need to come back and clarify. And that's something you could also make preconditions of and ask or suggest what else could be done. Again, I'm trying to encourage the parties to find the middle ground here. But the bottom line, if it's assuming it's unredacted and the county decides to take you up on this
Yeah, I
offer
pulled
of
that up.
software, I'm not saying
Dempsey,
they have
I'm gonna
to
go over
because they
that
might not be
tweet
comfortable with
after
whatever this
this.
program is you're proposing. This unredacted, the 460 hours, where does that come from?
So, Judge, we have, and I think that number could be,
When the lady
we have
never
400,
tells her
what was it,
age, sir.
470,000? 470,000 absentee ballot applications. You do them in batches of
Can I ask a
150 at
question?
15
Why does
minutes
he need to see
per,
this?
I will start racking up
Can
at
they
that
ask
point.
that? Does anyone know?
Yeah. Okay. So
The-
basically, you're
the
saying you have
state
to
say, why do you need
pull
these?
these one by one, or these
What do
aren't
you
something that can just be
intend
pulled
to
in mass?
show?
No,
by
we can pull
requesting
them in mass.
Can they
but when you have
request that
to feed them into
information
the
before
printer,
producing them?
you can only feed them in so many.
But when you
batches.
say you're pulling them in mass, can't you just save them as a digital file? Do we have to print them all?
Oh no, they're in physical format. They're in physical format.
They are
Judge.
currently in physical format.
Yes, Judge.
well, so I understand that some would have been done online, that you could do your online registration as well, no?
So
What?
You don't have to write this.
if they were 1 second, Your Honor.
Can I ask a question, Your Honor? Why do they need the
Judge, if they
information?
came in emails, you have to be combing through emails to
What
find the
does that have
applications.
to
But all of
do
the applications
with
were printed.
anything? What does that have to do with anything?
Okay.
What does
I'm
it
still getting the
have
impression just generally here that
with anything?
we haven't placed our finger exactly on what it is that's being asked and how it could be produced and whether it's the most
Sir,
cost-effective way and whether
Can
there
you
are
please
alternatives.
go to my question?
And so the ultimate point, I know we still have one more section to cover, but
All of Lolo's
just like the
Lounge is
previous two
asking you
sections,
what relevance this
it
is.
seems like we're still not ready to
The smartest chat on the internet.
make a
would-
ruling if I need to make a ruling. And what I would just go ahead and say at this point is I would propose, again, directing the parties to address the issues we've covered today and some of the points we brought up, that by February 2nd, that's 2 weeks from now, that we have a little more guidance that you can provide me perhaps with an amended subpoena, and maybe more narrowly tailor the time estimates. And again, I think more of an exchange of information is going to reduce a lot of time on the back end of what needs to happen. And I think what you're also going to need to do as well is start putting those hours into a cost, exactly what is it going to cost per hour as well, right?
Okay.
And if there's equipment,
It's
again,
the most expensive.
I would encourage everyone to find ways that if there's a more efficient way of doing it, digital or otherwise, that we do that, and it's not
does
just
Harrison
the
have money
longest
to
way
pay for
possible.
that? I
So
mean,
if there is
don't
a
even
type
have money for a
of
lawyer.
piece of equipment that can make it more
Who's buying this? Who's
make it more efficient more quickly,
Who's giving?
how much is it going to cost to buy that piece of equipment? If he can identify you a scanner and it's $10,000, maybe you buy that scanner instead of saying it's going to be 20,000 hours, right?
Well, I mean,
And no, I'm not saying you buy it because he's going to pay for it. Okay.
I want it back.
Well, we'll see.
No,
That's what I'm clarifying is that when you're making the bill,
yes, exactly. And
we
you know
can
what
do
they
this in a
do,
way that-
Dempsey? They don't even
And
have
Judge,
to
you know,
put
the-
it in court.
the
They'll
fact of
do
the
it in
matter
the
is
court
that
of public opinion.
a lot of the stuff from 2020, it's just all in physical format. You know, things were done a lot differently back then.
I've
You
read
know,
this book.
back then,
Only 2
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
I've read this.
it's not that long ago, right?
Listen, COVID has changed
Okay.
I've read
changed the whole
this
time perspective.
book. I've
know, and,
read this book. I read this.
You know, a
chapter.
lot of things have changed in Fulton County elections and how we, I guess, process
Mm.
information and store information. So, you know, we're just sort of stuck in that regard.
Oh yeah, I agree. Okay, that's good,
Understood.
Kathy. I mean,
And so I think that's why
understand that.
you're-
A little
we're having
bit
to work
draggy.
through so
I mean, it
much,
feels
and I
a little bit
appreciate
draggy. I'm sure
y'all
there's a lot of
continuing to do that.
antiquated processes.
But I think that where we stand now and
I
the
also don't
demands of
blame
this
them.
case,
Say, listen, we don't want to do this. Okay, I don't want my
that we're
office
going to need to still
manager
work through
spending
this.
a month and a half on this.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So I get that.
So I'll wait to hear back
Huge
from you
waste of
another
taxpayer
report
dollars.
on 112. In a perfect world, maybe y'all have
no
come to
one's paying
terms and something along the lines of what was presented from the Secretary of State's office and the GBI with the protective order agreed to by the parties, with the amended subpoena made part of the record, with the terms and conditions, with what payment is to be conveyed and when. Again, with some of these ideas in mind, how much upfront? Is there going to be steps along the way where you pause and give them updated estimates? All those kind of things. I think these are the things you need to think through.
Okay.
What else do you think we need to discuss today?
Again, that's going to be, you know, just saying up front, that will be difficult as we are prepping for a federal election.
We have all the time in the world. We're not rushing anything. So
No,
I want to
we
get it right.
don't.
Sure. So if after 2 weeks you're still stuck, you think you need more time, let me know. And then let me know how much more time you need.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
What
What else?
going on here?
Nothing from us.
Okay.
It's been great, Your Honor. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to them before and
What
I
is
didn't
the
realize there were
fucking?
tech guys were here. I would have had at it.
Okay. Fair enough.
What the fuck is going
I'm
on?
trying to, I'll try to avoid what happened today where we just got really behind
Yeah, good
schedule,
point,
but
Kathy. Yeah,
I am
definitely.
trying to prioritize
Next
getting some
question
of
is
the
who
other
votes
hearings.
against funding to
Judge,
make
if I may
So-
say,
this
generally
easier.
speaking,
Very good point.
If we can have
Dempsey.
schedules where we have, you know, our brief, you got
We
your
don't do
motion filed,
election
you
stuff.
got your memorandum of law, like I want to do on one. The state gets its
I
opportunity.
know.
and
I
then we
think
get a
it's time to
reply, and that's
reread
set
the
for issue.
indictment,
We do
isn't
the
it?
Hearing. I think that's much more
Might
efficient.
be time
and
to
less
reread the
costly on
indictment.
my resources and even the court's resources, because going
You're
back and
gonna
having
have 2
additional
weeks to
hearings
do that.
back and forth is.
No, I think that's a fair point. I never know. Unlike, federal practice where it's just assumed someone's going to file a response and reply.
Right.
That's not generally what we do. It's just if you want to.
Right.
And so I haven't really stepped in and required it yet because everyone's seems to elect to do it. So if that's going to continue to be the practice, then I think all we need to make clear is what the expectations are from the parties. But I mean, generally when you file the motion, that's considered step one. And I know you still want to file a reply.
Right.
And so we can allow that. So I guess what I'm hearing from you is you think that the 26th is too tight a turnaround for that?
Yes, Your Honor, and I think there's other, I mean, the state is not here, so I don't.
Right. No, we're just talking logistics.
If logistically speaking, there's other matters in the docket that I think need to be heard first. The February 15th matter is going to be heard. And I didn't think much of it until just a couple of days ago, but that would be something that I would want to have heard first before my motions are scheduled.
Well, I don't know if I can promise that, just because I'd kind of set aside the week of February 12th to just try to have as many hearings and motions as we can. And since the latter half of that week is devoted to that motion, I still want to utilize the 12th, 13th, and 14th, just as a heads up. But we can continue this discussion with all the parties attached through email.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, we'll be off the record. Thank you, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Boy, our question did not get
Who's not
answered.
released? Oh, well, we're off the record. We are adjourned.
I'm
Right,
released here.
Okay.
right, you're here. It's time to end. No, actually, I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer. Yeah, the latter half of that week will be quite full. Yes, indeed. Indeed, indeed. Well, isn't that interesting, kids? Okay, hold on. Let's stop sharing. Isn't that interesting? A draining couple of days around Valentine's, as if it weren't draining enough. My goodness. I would take that for a Valentine's. Somebody getting put in shackles. That would make me feel as warm as a X-plane or E-plane. Either one fits. Well, so what I heard is that this is now we kick the can down the road for 2 more weeks. That basically Mr. Floyd believes that his case will be helped by getting exhaustive copies of the voter records. And I think I've heard this song before. That's an old song. I think I've heard that song before. The lyrics said forevermore, forevermore's a memory. Yeah, that's a great old 40s song. But yes, that's the real bottom line. I didn't quite understand what happened in the Eastman portion. That had to do, there was some reference to what his lie was in the testifying to the Georgia state legislature, and which the lie I know that he told there, which I'm sure he told, well, I know he told more than one because we just watched it the other day, again, in the hot tub time machine. And I know that Eastman lied to the Georgia state legislature. He was presented during that He was presented during that hearing in December of 2020 to as a constitutional scholar, which he is not a constitutional scholar per se. He thinks he is. But he actually was being paid as a Trump lawyer at that very moment in time. So that is why I know for one reason he's in trouble, not to mention all of the data that he purports to support his claims that Mike Pence had authority to delay or reject electoral votes on January 6th. He died on that hill. And during his disbarment hearing in California, he pretty much got taken to the cleaners in terms of his data, air quotes, being proven to be nothing more than the used toilet paper that he had in the morning. So that is going to come to light and that's what I think I do want to find out more about what his appearance was about today, because I didn't really expect that appearance per se. And so I just need to do a little bit of homework on that. But yeah, the Harrison Floyd, I think, is a delay tactic. Harrison Floyd is not sorry for his part in this. And nor are many of them, actually. In fact, I don't really think any of them are sincerely sorry. And so I don't know if he's just delaying. I think some of them think that Trump is going to win or something, and that this is all going to go away. That's what I think some of the stupider people in this RICO thing believe. I don't know what the smarter ones think is going to happen. But I don't know. I mean, John Eastman kind of seems to believe, he doesn't believe this. He wants it to be true because he wants his legal theory to be like the penultimate legal, I am the greatest. He wants to be the greatest of them all. He wants to be the queen of the prom, of the legal prom. He wants to win the Constitution. And he is really not, he doesn't really care what he destroys in order to be right. So I think he's just kind of an egomaniac. And the problem with a lot of these folks is that they've spent so much time in right-wing echo chambers and everyone telling them they're right and they're pretty and they're shiny and nobody questioning any of their data, that now they're in the real world and it's going to get harder. I mean, these cases are going to be brutal. We already watched the Eastman disbarment hearings in California. Those were brutal. Not that I ever felt sorry for him because I didn't. But they were brutal. All right. So let's see. We wanted to go to this. Because speaking of lawyers getting lawyers, let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about it. Thanks, Frampted. Yeah, I think it's... I think everybody needs to be a lot nicer. Here we go. All right. Let's make it a little bigger. Oops, so it's not too distracting. Okay. So this was, thank you, Gal, for sharing this. It's dropped in the link earlier in the chat. But thank you, Gal, for sharing this Kyle Cheney post from a little bit earlier when we were watching the hearing. New DC bar investigators have filed disciplinary charges against 3 lawyers connected to Donald Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 results. Julie Haller and Brandon Johnson, who were Kraken lawyers. Sidney Powell and Cleta Mitchell. Larry Joseph, that's not a real name. Come on now. Eastman and Powell. Eastman and Powell ally who filed Gohmert suit. Wow. Let's go check this out. Check it out. Work it out. I'm sorry, I've been looking at some sound barriers. I'm looking at bathing suits and sound barriers. That's a new band, Bathing Suits and Sound Barriers. You heard it here first. Oh, no worries. Go see you later, Frampton. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate you stopping in today. Thank you. Especially from the Twitter sphere. No problem. Thank you. Really appreciate you being here. Kathy, Eastman disbarment hearings were one of the summer highlights. I know. Summer lovin' had me a blast. Summer lovin' happened so fast. Met a lawyer crazy for me. Met a Supreme Court justice. I don't know. Under a tree. Summer crimes tinkle like chimes, but oh, those summer crimes. I can't sing real loud. My daughter's working in the next room. Anyway, that's a good one. Summer fraudin' had me. Okay, I better stop. I can hear. Okay. All right, let's go read this. DC bar authorities filed disciplinary charges against pro-Trump lawyers and blur, 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 blur. The new charges are the latest in a series of disciplinary proceedings against the attorneys who directly and indirectly aided former President Donald Trump's bid to subvert the 2020 election. Look at my mouth. Look at my mouth. Look at my mouth. You would think with as much money as he has, or supposedly, that he'd get a little bit of a facelift. But okay, I'm just saying. Kyle Cheney, super reporter. Sorry. Oh man, I'm a little tired. I don't know why. Okay. All right, here we go. Blur, blur, blur. Oh, whoops, sorry. Washington, D.C. bar investigators led by my man, Phil Fox, the hottest motherfucker on the planet. So sorry. I'm sure he's happily married, and I would probably love his wife as well, like a friend. But he is amazing. I'm just going to say he's part of the DC. Oh, who's Phil Fox, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Phil Fox is the dreamy head badass at the DC Board of Professional Responsibility for lawyers who are barred in DC. And Phil takes 0 fucking prisoners. I just watched him on the Jeffrey Clark thing. I don't know if you guys caught that when I tried to get it to everybody as quickly as possible. Oh my God. The head and the hands. Phil, I love Phil Fox. I really do. I really do have kind of a crush on him. He's super smart, first of all. And that's, you don't have to make me a meatloaf. You have to say something really smart. The way to my heart is through my brain. Anyway, so he's really great, and he's really smart, and he's really funny. Anyway, so here, yeah, he's going to be, I can't wait. Because everybody's going to have to come through Phil at one point or another, and I just can't really fucking wait. Filings made public. Hold on. Oh, yeah, bitch. Okay. Friday accused Julie Haller, Lawrence Joseph, and Brandon Johnson of making knowingly false representations to courts about a slew of lawsuits they filed in the weeks after the 2020 election. Joseph was most directly involved in a lawsuit brought by then Rep. Louis Gohmert against then Vice President Mike Pence, seeking to force Pence's hand as Trump was pressuring him to assert unprecedented authority to choose the winner of the election. The suit was dismissed by a federal district court judge and appeals court panel before stalling at the Supreme Court on January 6. Haller, meanwhile, read that again, appeals court panel before stalling at the Supreme Court on January 6. Haller, meanwhile, was instrumental in Powell's so-called Kraken lawsuits, the nickname she gave to the campaign of ultimately unsuccessful litigation aimed at undoing Joe Biden's victories in several swing states. After her stint with Powell, Haller represented a handful of January 6 defendants. I thought she sounded kind of familiar, including Oathkeeper Kelly Meggs, who was ultimately convicted of seditious conspiracy. Oh, so she's real good. She's a real good lawyer. All right. Before moving to America First Legal Foundation, the Trump-aligned outfit started by former White House advisor Stephen Miller. Shut up, Stephen. I love you. I love General Milley, too. Johnson joined Haller in many of the Powell-related lawsuits and filings. The new charges are the latest in a series of disciplinary proceedings filed across the country against attorneys who directly and indirectly aided Trump's bid to subvert the 2020 election. Trump campaign lawyer Jenna Ellis was admonished by Colorado authorities after admitting to making false representations about election fraud in 2020. John Eastman, an architect of Trump's last-ditch bid to block Biden's Electoral College win, was found culpable for violating professional ethics after a lengthy trial in California and faces a final judgment in the next few fucking weeks, bitch. Come on, Judge Rowland. And Rudy Giuliani was suspended from practicing law in New York and Washington, D.C., which is also a beautiful set of hearings, after proceedings that questioned his 2020 work on Trump's behalf in Pennsylvania. The new charges against Haller, Johnson, and Joseph will be heard by a committee of the D.C. Bar, and if they're found culpable, they could face sanctions ranging from reprimand to suspension to disbarment. Spoiler alert, it's going to be disbarment. Bar investigators, because again, Phil Fox takes no prisoners. Bar investigators say Haller and Johnson filed egregiously false claims about election fraud, particularly related to the contention that foreign governments and oligarchs had manipulated Dominion voting machines. See Fox News. Their claims were considered and rejected by courts at nearly every level in Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, and elsewhere. The attorneys knew, or should have known, the lawsuits were frivolous, the Bar investigators charged. They had no plausible factual basis for the claims they made, and the relief they sought was unprecedented and beyond the authority of courts to grant. And in other words, kids, they wanted to disenfranchise millions of voters. Yes, that's true. In a separate set of charges against Joseph, Bar investigators say the conservative attorney falsely told courts that groups of pro-Trump presidential electors had been duly qualified in a handful of swing states, even though Biden had prevailed. Joseph knew that the claims about a competing slate of electors in Arizona, as well as the slates in other contested states, had no factual basis and was false, they contend. The state legislature in Arizona had not permitted, authorized, or endorsed the Republican slate of electors as competing or alternative electors for the state. Haller and Johnson and Joseph did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Haller and Johnson have been subject to disciplinary proceedings in other states as a result of their 2020 election litigation, including in Michigan, where a federal appeals court upheld sanctions against Powell and her allies. Well, there you frickin' go. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, he just highlights some of the story. Let me go ahead and give you his tweet again, because it might have slipped too far down. Oh, he fell. He does look a little unstable on his, he looks a little unstable on his feet. Did you notice him coming into the whatever? What was it? Was it like a hotel or something? When he was in that big like foyer and he was walking towards the cameras and he didn't have his tie on and he just was like, he was almost listing from side to side. I mean, that could just be exhaustion, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I know that the banking thing, that was so weird. I don't know. You heard he fell. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you do, when you're older, you get bruised a little easier if you don't have your potassium or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember what it is that keeps you from doing that. All right. Well, my darlings, I'm gonna go. But I will see you tonight for a little bit of trivia. And perhaps chapter 7. Although I may just wait. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna do chapter 7 tonight of prequel. I'm gonna give everybody a night off or so. I might do it Sunday. Let me say that because I think I have plans Saturday. I'm not sure. I got to check with some folks, but I will definitely be here tonight for trivia. Someone did say that, but I watched it and I did not see it. So I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I didn't see that. I wish that fault, so no. I know. You know, the thing about it is, like, I don't care what happens to him. I'm not sad if something happens to him. I'm just not. Because he doesn't care about me. And in fact, he doesn't care about any person who identifies as a Democrat. Like, he would love for us to be injured or hurt. He would love it. He would laugh. So I don't care. I don't even care to wish harm on him because I don't care. He's brought on his own harm. He's brought all of this on himself. He built this house of cards and now it's about to paper cut the shit out of him. Oh, Karen. Karen. No problem. Hey, girl. No hate. I'm telling you. It'll be a couple hours. I'm not gonna do a super long show tonight, but I'm a little tired. I think it's these allergies are beating my butt. I'm beating my butt. But yeah, please catch up on the readings. Let me go. I'll go ahead and link them. I'm putting them in a playlist, so they should be easy to find. But I'll link that playlist. Yeah, catch up with the readings. It's a fascinating book, and it really has some crazy parallels. Would like him to be lucid. Oh yes, I mean really, this is true. I want him to be aware of what is happening to him at pretty much every moment of the day. That's actually the greatest punishment. Well, not the greatest punishment, sorry. But one of them. I guess for him. Maybe for, what is he? Do people, like, is conventional wisdom that he's a sociopath or a psychopath? I don't know. I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not an expert. But I wonder if he even cares if it's happening to him. You know what I mean? Like, what if he doesn't care? Oh, gee, it's so nice. That's so funny. I'm glad, because sometimes I feel like I sound a little gravelly. I don't know. I'm hyper conscious of my voice. But thank you. I'm so glad you guys like it. Oh, thanks, Peppa. I'm trying to make it in smaller things, so that smaller installments, so that you could catch up on it, right? Like if you're going to do the dishes, you just fucking put that in your ear and you can skip through the boring parts, which, of which there are a few. But there's some good Sondheim in there too. Thank you so much. That means a lot, you guys. That means a lot. I'm going to tell you, it is so, like, this is it. It is important history, but it wasn't covered much or well at all in non-specialist education. That is so true. I mean, I think, and I didn't focus on history much, especially in college, much beyond the core stuff. And I know, well, Cassidy's pre-K autobiography. And then when I was 7, Father put his hand on my head and said, "Lovely Cassidy." What did he call her? He called her like snitch or something. I don't know, something stupid. Pre-K. And then I was in 7th grade. I was an outcast. Yes, I was naturally beautiful. Indeed, I had chestnut hair. But it really was tough for a girl like me. It has. I mean, a lot of this has either been glossed over, Pepper, or you kind of get the surface cut, like just like and of course in college I wasn't in a position to appreciate the opportunity I had in front of me. Can we just put it that way? I'll refer to it as that. Oh my goodness. Anyway, all right, my dears. I'm gonna go get ready for tonight. Waiting for tonight. Waiting for tonight. And yeah, right. And let's get Lindbergh and Eric. I know I keep forget. Okay, listen. I totally forget all the time that the fucking Lindberghs were Nazi sympathizers. I knew that. See, this is the kind of stuff. It's either that you didn't know something or you knew something. Like Teddy Roosevelt was a really fucking horrible person. But you don't think about Teddy Roosevelt every day. So you kind of compartmentalize that somewhere. And it's just like, it's not that it's not important, because it's very important history. but it's just not coming up all the time. So now when we have these things and they remind us of these things, that's what's so cool, is that we've got to be reminded. That's like that song from South Pacific. You've got to be taught to hate. Dun, dun, which is it's a good song. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of wild stuff. So it is a little bit of a triggering book, but thank you everyone for being part of it. So I will see you tonight. Usual time, usual places, usual things, usual chases. And then yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much again for coming. I just adore you. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day.